Well. I always forget when I start the stream what day we're on, even though I typed it up and everything. We're on day 53? 53, is that right? Is there anywhere I can see to double check? Am I going crazy? Come on. How is it so difficult to find this? Let me just go to my little edit button here. Day 52. Okay, I was wrong. This is why we double check. Day 52. Welcome everyone to the 52nd day of... Oh yeah, and I even typed it in the chat earlier. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the 52nd day of me live streaming. So welcome guys. Thanks for being here. Enrico Jacob. I don't know how to say your last name. We're going to go with Jacob. Jacob, you said ready when you are. Well, I am still not ready, but thank you for being here. And thank you for being the first one to type in the chat. I very much appreciate that. Enrico from the YouTube side. All right. Listen, we've been a bit busy on the YouTube recently. And now that I'm back from traveling, my goal is to post as much as possible. We have so much content to go through. We have so many trips. What are we on? We're still on Mongolia. We started our entire live streaming journey working basically on our streams for, what was it? I think like the first 26 days of our live stream. We started from scratch and created an entire video, which was episode 1 of my trip to Mongolia, all while live streaming. So after that, we worked on episode 2, which we haven't finished, because then we got interrupted with this new project, which is what the title of my stream is talking about, which is the Nikon ZR. And so, of course, we've been milking this for the past 4 days or however many days since I've come back from that trip to talk about the Nikon ZR, whatever it takes for the YouTube algorithms to basically just make it so, like, anytime someone types in YouTube, like, tell me about this Nikon ZR, is it worth it? What about it? Hopefully my stream will pop up. Hopefully our videos that we made will pop up there. But yeah, so basically we've been spending some time on these streams since I've come back from the trip, just kind of reviewing, recapping what that trip entailed, some of the highlights. But then, of course, the main thing is, drumroll, we're actually going to go through all the footages. So if there is one thing that I could say is unique about our channel, at least in this very, very hyper-specific situation, is that unlike other, obviously there are many, I'm like a nobody. I'm still shocked that Nikon invited me to test out this camera before launch. Although I do believe it's because I'm their like target market. But that aside, there are actual large YouTubers, actual professional cinematographers and filmmakers who have had the ability to test out this Nikon ZR. But I believe I could be the one and only that is actually live streaming every day talking about the Nikon ZR. Free advertisement for Nikon, okay? Let me say, they're not paying me to do this. But yeah, anyways, if there is something unique about this channel right now, it's the fact that you get to watch these live streams where I actually will break down every single day as we have the time, as you ask questions. I will show all of the different footages that I took. I will break down my thoughts. You can also visually see, you know, how did the camera perform? How is the color science with this the red codec that's now built in? Yeah, what about the other features? How was that 4-inch monitor screen or the 32-bit float audio? Did it actually work when you had chimpanzees screeching at you from very close up? Did the audio clip? How was it? All of that can be answered on these streams, and I don't think any other channel is doing that. So hopefully you will enjoy being a part of the stream. Enrico, Mr. Jacob, you said, wow, that's wild. That's a lot of travel. I just got back from Japan. Yo, that's nice. And that trip, while amazing, was tiring. Listen, as we have time, because I am planning my trip to Japan right now. So I'm planning another trip to Japan for February of next year. So hopefully you had a good time, but honestly, it's Japan. Anyone who goes there, they're always going to have an amazing time because it's Japan. It sells itself. So hopefully you had a good time there. I don't know what kind of trip you're doing, if it was more like city, you know, like Tokyo and that kind of stuff, or Kyoto, or if you went out for nature. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy Japan. I was in Hokkaido earlier this year. I took a group of 3 other photographers with me, and I'm trying to replicate that for next year. So I'm right now just putting together all the photos and video assets. I think I have the itinerary, everything's locked down. So now I need to put it onto my website, and hopefully people can join. and enjoy a trip with me. So Enrico, I wouldn't, since you just came back from Japan, it doesn't make sense necessarily, but I put in the chat here, !tour. Oh shoot, I think I did it wrong. I think it's !tours. See, I don't even know my own commands. This should then populate a link that takes you to my website. And on my website, you will be able to see any of the tours that I'm running. So just to quickly jump onto my website real quick, just to plug and promote myself. Right now, you'll only see 2 because we've been really busy this year. And so I only got back recently and I'm slowly putting together a calendar for next year. But we are planning a trip to Uganda in April and November of next year. And it is a Great Apes tour. So essentially, we will be spending about 10 days, 9 to 10 days, where we will go across Uganda specifically to search for the chimpanzees, the gorillas, also the shoebill storks, which are these crazy animals. Let me see if I can show it real quick. These guys, the shoebill storks, will have a couple excursions for each of these if you so choose. So I put this on my website now, so I think I already have 2 to 3 people who are interested. So that's really good news because these are not cheap, right? These trips are very expensive, but it is actually reasonably priced. I will say, I'm not like just saying it as a salesman. One of the things is I try to make sure that the price is in line with the value that I can provide. And I'm very confident that this is one of those trips that will absolutely deliver. So feel free to check out my website, or if you know anyone who would be interested in joining, let them know. You can see the itinerary. There's nothing that I hide here. I have a good working relationship with a tour company there called Karingo Safaris. And so I've negotiated, more optimal rates and everything. So hopefully this is going to be a trip that everyone will enjoy. But yeah, feel free to look at all the FAQs. I have a YouTube video on Uganda as well from my past few times that I've been there. So anyways, these are 2 of the tours that I have on my website, but I am working on a Hokkaido, Japan trip for February of next year. And that's going to be winter wildlife. And if some of you guys who've tuned into my previous live streams, we were working on Japan photos from earlier. So we still have so many days to go when it comes to editing the Japan trip. Let's see, actually, while we're on this subject, these were the photos that we had edited in our past live streams from Japan. So these are some of the photographers that joined me on the trip. And so we went around Hokkaido looking for the different wildlife, including the red-crowned crane. And then what else? I didn't get too far with the final editing photos. So you're just seeing some of the ones that we had time to edit on stream, which was mostly on the red-crowned cranes because that was on the first day of the trip. Then we have a bunch of foxes. There's a few locations we went to where we got super lucky. You can get these really close-up shots of the foxes. So yeah, we went through a lot of photos of foxes, which I love. So yeah, we're going to do some more Japan photos because I do need to quickly edit as many of these as possible because I need to put a page on my website and start promoting it. So anyways, but before we get into Japan stuff, obviously we're going to talk about our trip to Uganda again, which was for that Nikon ZR project. And so hello Nico, thank you for being here. You have a lesson right now. I will join after if you are still live. Yes, I believe I should be live for at least a solid 3 to 4 hours today. Like I said, I'm limiting the stream hours for at least for 1 more week because I need to catch up on so much work stuff. So while we are productive on these streams, it's obviously a little bit more lighthearted and we have fun with it. I have a lot more like heavy duty work I have to do off stream. Enrico, you said it was wonderful. We did Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka. Wow. Okay. I've never been to Osaka. I want to go. Kyoto was my favorite. Yeah, it's like the perfect mix of like city and then nature. We hiked Mount Fuji a long time ago with a college friend of mine. Oh, Enrico, I missed a message. You said Island of Second Chances was amazing, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you like it, I hope you left a comment, or please do leave a comment if you haven't. Please like the video. Please subscribe, of course, and all of that. All of it really helps, and I'm very proud of this video, but as you know, YouTube algorithm can be very finicky, so we do our best to pray to the gods of YouTube algorithms to bless us with a lot of views. But everyone who comments or likes or watches the full video, of course, it helps. It makes a big difference. But thank you very much for the compliments. That was a tough project. I think I was only in Uganda for about 3 days, so we filmed everything in about 3 days' time. So we're in and out. And then I put the whole film together in less than 1 week. So probably like in 5 days or so, I edited the entire 5 minutes, which sounds like, come on, it's 5 minutes. But I promise you, that 5 minutes took up every waking hour of my day, it felt like. You're just working around the clock trying to make this film. Because, yeah, I'm new to documentary filmmaking. This is my very first time trying to make a documentary. I'm still fairly new to video editing and filmmaking. We've been doing video projects. We've been focusing on video for the past 2 years. Before that, we were mostly on the photography side. So thank you very much for your compliment. You said, I agree, Kyoto was my favorite too. Yes. Man, Kyoto, I do. This is why I love Japan. So yeah, that's why we're going to work on this. I'm hoping to put this together, bring more people with me to Japan, because honestly, it is a trip that sells itself, because it's Japan. Who doesn't want to go there, right? Even if you're not a photographer, it's a place where you're going to have delicious food. You're going to have all kinds of crazy culture and everything from like high-tech modernity in Tokyo to like the very ancient kind of mystique and cultural heritage stuff in all around Japan. So yeah, it's like one of those countries where you can't go wrong visiting it. My trip will be focused on the wildlife, like these foxes and the shika deer and the Izo momonga, which is probably going to be a highlight. There's a local guide out there that I got in touch with, and so I traveled with him last time, and he knows where these dwarf flying squirrels are, the Izo momonga, and so that will be the highlight, to spend several days trying to photograph and film these flying squirrels as they zip by on the tree tops. And so there are certain locations you have to like prepare yourself for. So he's such an expert. He goes every day. He knows where a bunch of them are, and then he kind of knows the flight path of these flying squirrels. Like he knows, like, okay, in the evenings when they're coming back to their home in the hole in the tree, they usually will come from this direction, and one of the paths, the flying squirrel will climb up one of these trees, take off, and then zip right over to this tree over here. So if you stand right here, if you're lucky, if you set your camera to XYZ settings, blah, 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 as it comes, boom, you can get the shot. Or you can stand all the way on this side, or you can go underneath from the ground. It's so much fun. So anyways, we're gonna have some fun with it, of course. But yeah, so we'll be going back to Japan as many times as possible, and Uganda, of course. So anyways, with all of that said, obviously the focus for us right now is going to be on the Nikon ZR, and the film is out. So we have our 5-minute documentary. Ooh, this is a good time for me to promote. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, and even if you do, because I need to be very shameless about plugging myself, I'm putting something in the chat right now. It is a link to my 5-minute short documentary film. This is all shot with the Nikon ZR. So it's a pre-release unit. It's a pre-production unit. So I have to always put that disclaimer because I don't want to get in trouble by saying like what you see is exactly what you'll get with the Nikon ZR. But yes, I was able to get my hands on a Nikon ZR before the announcement. I'm very grateful that I was given the opportunity. So I got to borrow it for a number of days. I traveled to Uganda. I reached out to a few contacts that I have in Uganda, and we came up with this documentary pitch where I would film the chimpanzee island sanctuary, and I got to meet all the caregivers, the keepers, and then there's 55 rescued chimpanzees on the island. So I had a lot of fun filming with the new camera in different scenarios, and I really wanted to stress test the camera and see if it's something that hopefully is a product that people want to use. And in my opinion, like, this is my own opinion, I'm not being paid to say any of these things, but I do have a working relationship with Nikon. I honestly think this camera is a game changer. When I say game changer, I don't mean like, oh, is this camera going to be much better than the competition? Probably not. I don't know, because you have like, not that I know much about this world. Like, I'm going to keep stressing, I am new to filmmaking, to videography, or whatever you want to call it. I've only a couple years into like dedicating to doing video. Our YouTube channel is only 1 year old. But from my understanding, you have the Sony FX3, which has dominated that kind of cinema camera line for a number of years now, for at least 5 years. Canon has something as well. Obviously, you have the Red cameras, but they're priced really high, right? These cameras are all usually in like the $4,000 to $6,000 or something dollars range. So like some of the features, yes, you're not going to be able to compete against one of those cameras. However, this camera comes in at a whopping $2,200. And at $2,200, it actually has a number of features that exceeds the competition, including the 32-bit float. So that's incredible for the type of film that I like to make and the type of shooting that I do, which is travel-based. It's got a 4-inch beautiful display, so then you don't even need an external monitor that you have to attach with the 5-inch screen so you can see what you're shooting, because most of the other cameras have like a 3-inch screen. It's too tiny to like really do a film, right? This 4-inch is the perfect sweet spot, and it was amazing to shoot with it. Of course, it's got that red. So Enrico, your question, did you shoot entirely in red? Yes, I did. Although in hindsight, I probably should have shot a few things in like H.265 and H.264, but I was focusing on just making sure I captured as much quality content for my documentary. So I filmed everything in the red codec. Now it is a new red codec, right? So it is they call it the R3D NE. Oh shoot, what does the NE stand for? I don't know, but it's essentially like the new version that's integrated with the Nikon cameras, right? So it's using red technology, but then infused within the Nikon camera as we know it. So it's a mix of like the Nikon Z6 III in the sense that it's a 24.5 megapixel partially stacked sensor, which is literally, I believe, exactly the same as the Z6 III. However, you're now getting the red color science built into the camera. You can shoot at 6K 60 frames. Nikon edition, Enrico? Okay, yeah, I think you're correct, but I didn't want to say. So thank you for saying. Although you could be lying to me too, but let's go with Nikon edition. But yes, the red R3D Nikon edition. So, and everything you're seeing here, by the way, Enrico, not Enrique. These are all shot with the red codec. Now, again, I have to just keep putting some caveats because the red codec that I was using, the R3D NE one, that one doesn't exist, right? We're in beta mode. So it's not like there's a version that was compatible for DaVinci. So they gave me access to something to try to convert it into something that DaVinci can consume so that I can make the video. So my hope and my assumption would be, as much as I love the color science and how the colors look in the shots that I took, it should technically be better at launch, right? Whenever everything gets settled in terms of like the actual quality that we're looking for. That would be my hope. Obviously you never know, but yeah. So anyways, yeah, we were shooting with the R3D Nikon edition codec. And yeah, so anyways, that is the link to my video. I hope you check it out. It took me about, what did I say? It was about 3 days of shooting and then about 5 days of just nonstop editing to get it done. And I am very proud of it because I've never done a documentary before. I'm happy to share my entire workflow. Usually we would have shared all of this during the live stream because that's what's part of the fun, hopefully. If you tune into my live streams, you'll see that I like to share everything. So every video project that I'm working on, if you tune into the streams, you'll actually see how I'm editing, how I craft the narrative, how we choose the soundtracks, how we do all of our, visual effects, sound effects, all of it. I love sharing it. And I also love learning from you guys because then oftentimes you guys will give advice, tell me, hey, you shouldn't use Papyrus as a font, for example, which is not just a hypothetical. That actually is a thing that's happened. So, yeah. So anyways, but obviously this project had to be done in secret. So I'm going to work backwards in terms of sharing. Right, so I'll share how did I come up with the script, how did we try to narrow down a documentary inside of 5 minutes. I had to do a lot of chopping, a lot of trimming the fat, where it was so stressful in the 5 days of editing or so, where it's like, oh my God, I have all these lines that I know I want to use. I have all these footages that I want to use, but holy shit, 5 minutes is fast. And I'm going to have to chop off at least 65% of the footages that I really wanted to use, or the voiceover. And so having to make a decision on like how to cut a lot of this while still maintaining a storyline was such a challenge for me, but also that's why I'm really glad I got to work on this project in such a time crunch. Because yeah, I think my problem I oftentimes have is I don't know how to be succinct. You can tell that's why I'm enjoying being a streamer, because I can ramble, I can talk for hours and hours and hours, and no one can tell me to shut up. I mean, I guess they could, but I don't have to listen to them, and they can't mute me, right? So I can be very verbose, but I think when it comes to making compelling film, It's not like taking a really fine edited photo and you post it, right? This is like time. And I have to learn, and I'm still learning, and we're improving on how do you tell a story in this shortest amount of time possible. Because you can tell a good story in 10 minutes, but if you could have told that same story in 5 minutes without sacrificing much of the quality, then you should have done that, is, you know, my way of thinking now. I want to improve. So anyways, yeah, so we'll talk about that throughout. Enrico, you said, I've got the Z6 III. Ooh, nice. And while I love it, the N-Log shadow issue is bothersome. Curious if the ZR has the same issue since they share the same sensor. Interesting. By the way, I am actually filming, so this live stream is actually shot with my Nikon Z6 III right now, just as an FYI. And I normally shoot with the Z9 when I travel, and I have the Z6 III. And the Z6 III actually has turned into my workhorse camera. Like, I actually now will pick that camera up when I'm traveling to do 90% of what I shoot. And then the Z9 is my powerhouse for wildlife, right? When I need that, you know, the more quality, high resolution shots. So when you're asking about the N-Log, is the shadow, you know, I have heard about this. Some people I know have mentioned, like, if, you know, comparing shooting in NRAW, for instance, compared to Apple ProRes RAW, that sometimes there might be issues in the shadows. I generally haven't really felt I've had issues with that. But here's what I'll say, Enrico. You can watch any of my my videos on my channel. Everything besides the one I just released, they were all shot in NRAW. 99% of the footages you see in my travel vlogs, all of that is shot in, is shot in NRAW. And I've been a big fan. But this is where it's hard for me to complain about it because I don't have a good comparison. Because, like I said, I'm so new to video editing and video, like, filmmaking. I basically started mostly in NRAW. Before that, I was shooting in Apple ProRes RAW. However, I also didn't know as much when I was doing that. And one of the biggest issues I had with shooting in Apple ProRes RAW is the file size was incredibly large. To the point where when I decided I want to shoot in NRAW, I was like, okay, why shouldn't I try NRAW? Now, only DaVinci Resolve is compatible with it, but it's like, okay, cool, that's fine. I want to learn how to use DaVinci Resolve, so we can tie it up with that. It's a 12-bit color depth, so it's like, oh, okay, so it's the same color bit depth as Apple ProRes RAW. Now, in terms of quality, maybe, like you said, like, maybe there might be issues in the shadows at certain points, but I figured as I was testing it, shooting in NRAW gave me about a third of the size of this file. Like, the file size was 1/3 the size of if I shot the same amount with ProRes RAW. So then right off the bat, as a travel filmmaker, that is the golden ticket. Like, if you tell me that I can shoot 3 times as much with like a barely noticeable quality drop, I'm gonna take that all the time. And the red codec, I think, is roughly the same. I need to get my hands on the camera again just to double check. My understanding, Enrico, sorry, it's taking a long time to answer your question, but I believe from some of the reviews that I heard from other people that the shadow issue is not an issue. Like, it is very much in line with the red color science that people are accustomed to. And then from my own experience, so Nikon mentions it's about 15 plus stops of dynamic range. And there's so many footages I took, including like shooting directly against the sun or shooting in very, very low light situations in the forest, you know, low light. And I can see so much details in the shadows, and I don't blow out, or I don't clip the highlights directly against the sun. So small sample size, I only shot it for about 3 days, but even just shooting directly against the sun, I was seeing a lot more colors. I was just on a shot. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Oh yeah, so this one. Let's see. So this one, I haven't done anything besides just converting the color space. But here, I remember I was just shooting the birds flying, and so we started off the shot. You know, I was just kind of like randomly trying to shoot whatever I could. But here, you know, before I could lock on focus, we were shooting, you know, with like a green background, nothing crazy. But then by the end of the shot, you know, they're flying, and then they're flying directly against the sky. And it was really bright out when I shot this. So don't be fooled by whatever you see here. But normally, if I had shot this with the Z6 III or even the Z9, this probably would have ended up being super blown out, like overexposed to a certain extent for sure. But in this case, I was like, yo, I'm actually, and like, yeah, you can actually see like this soft blue here. I feel like, you know, it's what do you call it? Subjective. It's just speculation, right? But I feel like if I had done the exact same shoot with it with the NRAW, I don't think I would have been able to capture or have all this recovered as like actual details here. I feel like a lot of this would have actually ended up being super blown out. And I did struggle. There's only maybe 2 or 3 shots that I felt like I actually ruined the shot by like not having the proper exposure levels and like having the proper everything. Otherwise, I did find it was very, very difficult to be in a situation where I overexpose or underexpose the shot too much. And I did have a tendency throughout this trip to underexpose my shots. That's more of a user error thing, and I was a little bit nervous about shooting with this new camera. I didn't know any of the settings, and so I just kind of ended up shooting whatever I thought looked good on the view assist, even though I know I probably should have shot it brighter, and then I could have more easily brought it down. But yeah, that was just me not being comfortable enough with this kind of shoot. Let me see if I can show you an example of that from one of these days. Yeah, so even like a shot like this, if you look at my waveform, you can see like most, and this is without me doing any edits. I just did the color space transform. So just by turning this, converting it from the raw format and the log, you're seeing like I was shooting at such a low exposure, like everything was dark. So my understanding from like professional filmmakers and stuff like that, really I should have been shooting more like, you know, the waveform should have looked more like this or whatever on the waveform here, and then I could have dropped down the exposures manually, or make sure I have the ND filter that could drop it down while I was shooting. But I did not do that. Okay, so even with my poor film techniques, I felt like it didn't matter. Like the quality ends up being so beautiful. And then even any bit of noise here, you just apply a bit of that noise reduction and it's all gone. Everything looks clean. Yeah, it's just beautiful. So the colors are amazing on this just off the bat. But like I said, I've never used red before this, but I'm a big fan. Enrico, you said my professional use case for the ZR would be real estate photography. I'm a broker and do my own photography. Oh, nice, nice. You want the red KX. Is that the Komodo something? I'm telling you, I have zero knowledge, and this is why it's so funny to me. I'm laughing about it. I probably shouldn't. It is funny to me that I got invited to do this because it's like, yo, when I say I have zero knowledge, I mean I have zero knowledge. Anyways, so you want the red KX, but because of the price, I've been hesitant on pulling the trigger. The ZR might be my entry into red. How's the highlight roll-off of the ZR? Absolutely. I think this is, especially with the price tag. There was a video I was watching, a review from Potato Jet, and I'm a big fan of his. Not that I watch a lot of his videos. I just don't have time. I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos around like tutorials. I should. Anyways, he did his review on the ZR, and in his review, he brought the camera around to a bunch of his colleagues, and they're all like, professionals. Like these are legit videographers, all that kind of stuff. And he was asking each of them like, hey, so this is the ZR, it's got this feature on it, what do you think the price is? And every single one of them was like, ooh, if it's got these features, okay, I'm assuming they must be competing against the Sony FX3. So is it like, I don't know, mid $3,000, $4,000? And each one of them was guessing like in the 3,000 plus range. And so the shock when every single one is like, yo, it's actually $2,200. So I believe even before I respond to your highlight roll-off question, I think literally if you're just like saying, okay, what's the best use of your money in terms of like trying to budget for a professional use case and all that kind of stuff, I do feel like at $2,200, not only do you get that red codec, it's 12-bit, so it's not like a 16-bit, like I'm assuming the red, I think the Komodo is probably 16-bit or something like that. But you know what, honestly, do you really need 16-bit? It depends what you're doing, I guess. But let's say if you're doing real estate photography, I don't know, maybe you don't necessarily need like the craziest of crazy gear, but you still want something that makes things look professional and like, film-like or cinematic. So I think this one falls right in line with that. So it's that 12-bit, it's a red codec. It's got built-in stabilization. So it's got 7.5 stops of in-body image stabilization, which is perfect for me because I usually don't use a gimbal. I just shoot handheld. The highlight roll-off I think is excellent. So like I said, I really didn't have issues. There's only maybe like 1 or 2 clips that I could find where I felt like I really ran into an issue where I overexposed, or I end up in a situation where it's like it's just not capturing the dynamic range properly. So I didn't really have issues with any exposure levels throughout the shooting. And like I said, and I was doing everything incorrectly. I was underexposing most of the shots. So, but yeah, like even when I was shooting directly against the sun, it just wasn't an issue. So I thought it performed exceptionally well. What else? Oh yeah, and then if you're only spending $2,200, here's the other thing. And this is basically the direction I'm going to go with my ZR review. This camera is meant for someone like me who is an aspiring filmmaker, or is a quasi-professional, or like wants a prosumer kind of model, but then also something I can build off of, right? So obviously I'm invested in the Nikon Z lenses, and also their cinema lenses as they come out with them. And so having the best quality glass, but then having the proper body, and then like getting into it. The way I shoot, I shoot light. I am very much a run and gunning style, because if you imagine the types of things that I normally shoot, it's oftentimes wildlife related. It's oftentimes like when you're traveling. And so it's more like adventurous kind of shots. It's very unpredictable. You could be shooting in the city, but then also you might be shooting outdoors, outback, or like, in a remote location. And it's like a lot of areas where you're not necessarily wanting to carry around a heavy gimbal, or you're hiking. So you're like trekking through places. So to carry a gimbal with an external monitor, with a large shotgun mic with all the cables attached, and then if it's raining outside and all of a sudden all those cables are exposed, so then having to have all these things where the weather's unpredictable, the terrain is unpredictable. For all those reasons, I very much never use gimbals when I do my films or when I do my videos. I really try to be light, and I have to swap lenses as quick as possible. So I'll be shooting with one, and then boom, I gotta on the go switch lenses and keep filming. So that all kind of renders a gimbal obsolete for what I do. So that kind of having a stable shot is vital. Having an external monitor is so heavy, and sometimes I'm literally hand holding a 400mm f2.8 lens. So you can imagine the weight of just like holding one of those massive bazookas in the air. So like for those kind of safari shots, things like that, imagine now you've got an external monitor plus that shotgun mic and all the cables, and it's just so much to deal with when you're on the go. So to not have to deal with a 5-inch external monitor, because the camera itself has a 4-inch display, perfect. So now you don't need the monitor. It's got a 32-bit float audio. So now, obviously you got to figure out the wind noise. That was a factor. But they also had a shotgun mic that I got to test out. And the shotgun mic was incredible. I loved it. So I have some footage from that as well I can show. But then all of that feeds in. Now it has a digital shoe mount. So you don't need cables anymore. So, congrats Nikon for finally doing that. But yeah, so now you got the digital shoe mount. So yeah, now you don't need the wires, you don't need the big external monitor, you don't need a gimbal, you just got that one camera run and gun style. So not only do you save money at only paying $2,200, with the extra money that you're not spending, you can spend it on things like 1 terabyte memory cards, which are always necessary, right? That is one of the drawbacks that I'm going to put in the review as well. It's like pretty known now, but like it's only got one CF Express slot, CF Express Type B. So it's similar to the Z6 III, but then instead of having an SD slot, it has a micro SD slot, which I guess can be fine. I just don't use micro SDs too often. I think this read-write speeds are pretty good regardless, but for my raw footage that I like to film in, I don't think it won't read to a micro SD. So when it comes to redundancy, that's one of the risks, right? You're just filming straight to one memory card, but it does pump out the MP4 similar to the NRAW. Hello, DJ. DJ, you said, what do you usually shoot on, and how does the ZR compare to that? And then let me just answer Enrico's question because it's a much easier, it's faster one. Island of Second Chances was all handheld. Yes, Enrico, the only shots that you see in the film, and then just in general, everything I'm showing here, the only shots that were not handheld were the interviews. So for the interviews, I had a tripod or a monopod, depending if it was like an outdoor interview, which I didn't show in the film. Like this kind of shot, right? So this was with the monopod. So besides that, everything else was handheld. DJ, so to your question, what do I normally shoot with? So I normally shoot... Oh, sorry, guys. I wasn't sharing my screen. I was in full screen mode the whole time. So like this one was with the monopod. And then the other interviews were with the tripod. Okay, so to your question, what do I normally shoot with is I normally shoot with the Nikon Z9 and the Nikon Z6 III. And for all of my YouTube videos, if you check out my YouTube channel... all of those videos you'll see on my channel, except for the latest ones that I just published about the ZR, they're all shot with Z9, Z8, Z6 III, mostly, almost always in NRAW. So, how does the ZR compare to that? I think it's amazing. Obviously, like from the film side, right? So talking about film, I think for photo, it's using the same sensor as the Z6 III, just with fewer buttons. So in that regards, I would say the Z6 III is better because it's just more functional, right? You have all the shortcut buttons that you can program to do whatever on the Z6 III. So when it comes to shooting for photos, it's just easier to shoot with the Z6 III. Then when we swap over to video, now it's like a question is comparing the NRAW versus the red codec, the R3D Nikon edition. And I do feel strongly that the NRAW is fantastic. I'm a big fan of the NRAW. Like again, like I said, if you like my videos that I published on YouTube, those are all done with NRAW. So I'm definitely a fan. But I think more than the colors, the thing that's more noticeable to me is the fact that the dynamic range is just significantly more noticeable in terms of how much details you rescue, how much don't get overexposed or underexposed when I'm shooting in the new Red RAW. So for filming, like, oh my god, this is hands down so much better. Plus it's got the larger screen and the built-in audio, the 32-bit float audio, so I never have to worry about adjusting the microphone levels now. And we really put it to the test in this shoot, because I'm not kidding when I'm saying, like, man, you know, you'd have like these chimpanzees and you're like hearing the sound of birds chirping, and then all out of nowhere a chimp is screeching into your ear, right? Just because they're chimps. Let's see, I don't know, it happens so often, right? And so to try to like imagine like putting, if you do like auto, like if you set your mic to like auto levels, oftentimes it's not the best. And so sometimes it will mess up. And again, it doesn't know how to catch in the moment where, let's say before the screeching, it was like normal ambient sound. And then all of a sudden, like this chimp is screeching, it would blow out the microphone. Here, I didn't have any issues. So to think that for my kind of travel shoot where audio is never predictable, now I don't have to worry about that whatsoever. That's a huge win for me. Just like one less thing I have to think about. But yes, so Enrico, everything was handheld for the most part. Enrico, you said, I'm in the same camp. I try and have a minimal setup. Are you in log while shooting NRAW? Yes. So everything I shoot is in nlog. So even, yeah, when I'm shooting in like H.265, stuff like that, it's always in nlog wherever possible. To me, it's just like if you've got like a Z6 III, if you've got a Z9, Z8, any of these cameras that cost over $2,000, it's quite the investment. So if you're going to spend that kind of money for like such, like a, you know, more than just a consumer model, you know, it's like a prosumer type model, right? If you spend that kind of money, then you want the best results. And so to me, it's like, I would rather spend more money on like those large memory cards so that I can film in nlog wherever possible. So I will only shoot, like, I only shoot non-nlog when it's like I definitely run out of space, let's say, or like when I'm doing here, right? So for streaming, in streaming mode, it doesn't make sense to shoot in log because as far as I know, like, it can't do the actual color corrections and everything by the time it hits the, you know, like, I don't know, I'm so new to streaming, but as far as I know, if I shot in log, you guys would see a very grayed out looking version as well. But also it's kind of like a waste, or not a waste, it's overkill to for like a streaming setup to have like that kind of crazy quality. So for this, I just do H.265 or H.264. I'm not exactly sure. But for like my actual travel shoots and like filming stuff, I always shoot in log when possible. DJ, you asked, you tried the R3D workaround on the Z9863? No, I didn't even, I don't even know what that's referring to. There's a R3D workaround. Interesting. Yeah, you're the first one to tell me, so I don't know what that means, but if you're telling me that I can try to get that red look and feel in my Z6 III and Z9, that's great. Who knows, maybe there might be a firmware, I'm sure there might be a world, not that I know, but maybe they will try to throw in the red codec into the other Z cameras in the future. I don't know if that's possible physically or not. Maybe it is like something where it is just a firmware push and they could do that. But then the question is, maybe they wouldn't want to do that because they want to, obviously they don't want to cannibalize their new cameras, right? So there's a world where maybe they could do it, but they won't, right? So, but yes, this is all shot in that red. If you change the file from .nev to .r3d, DaVinci Resolve processes the files as R3D. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna have to give this a try sometime. Legit, just change the file name. Okay. How interesting is this? All right. Yeah, we'll put that to a test then. Because like I said, I think the R3D. Well, I am a fan of NRAW, and the thing is, again, it's very compressed files, so it's very, very efficient. And I believe the same thing is true with Red, right? If my understanding is correct, I think Red is the one that pioneered this kind of a compressed RAW format, which allows them to have much more efficient files. And then Nikon came out with the NRAW, and then there's a whole legal spat between the two before Nikon eventually acquired them, is my understanding. But yeah, so let's say like we'll take a shot like this one. I don't really do crazy things when it comes to editing. Usually I just play with the curves a bit, and that's about it. That's literally usually almost all I ever do. And now I am trying to get a bit more into like doing more color grading stuff. So we have dehancer. So dehancer, I do have a promo code for them. They reached out to me and asked if I'd like to test out their program, and it's been amazing. I used it in my short film as well. So every time you see moments where things look very, very like a vintage style, I was using dehancer. So we're still testing them out, and then I'm going to make a product review about them. But yes, if you'd like to get 10% off and support me as well, there's a link where you can go ahead and download and test out and try out dehancer. But yeah, we did use it for our short film, Island of Second Chances. I think I kind of like the name. You know what? It stuck with me, but yeah. Anyways. Okay, so anyways, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, let's just look at some of these. So this is like with the red codec. So I shot this, was it around 5 to 6 p.m.? So it was definitely golden hour. And you can see I was kind of shooting it, letting it be a bit darker. But then the way I usually edit, I don't mind crushing the blacks and stuff. I honestly don't. It's a personal choice, obviously. But even here, though, even though I've dropped the curves, it doesn't like, I feel like the blacks are still very, very soft. Now, there are issues once I export these files for something like social media or YouTube. Then every time I export, I do run into problems where things get a bit darker during the export process. No matter what I do, it always does that. I don't have a good answer yet. But either way, so, you know, here's kind of like how I might edit it normally. So I kind of like it very dark. So all I'm doing is just playing with the curves. I don't really play much with other things too often. And in this case especially, I don't mind this being completely dark because the eye is clearly what catches our eyes, right? The light's glinting off of it super nicely. It's got a nice red coloring to it, and then obviously the background has a nice warm tone to it. So I feel like the eyes will naturally be drawn over here. So darkening the rest of here, I actually don't mind at all because it just helps quickly draw the attention to the eye. And so, yeah, I would probably end up doing a edit like this. But as we've been playing with this more and more, now I might apply some of the different LUTs that we use, as well as the dehancer. But yeah, this is within the red R3D codec. And to be more specific, it's using the log 3G10 for the color space, and then red wide gamut, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, red wide gamut RGB for the color space, and then the input gamma is red log 3G10. But yeah, big fan. Oof. Yeah, it's like so crisp too. 24.5 megapixel. I'm curious. Like, I know some of the competitors have like 35 megapixel or higher, but shooting with this 24.5, I felt like it was the right combination of like having very, very sharp areas, and then the soft areas just feel very soft. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. Like, this is how new I am, right? So these are just questions, but if you have, let's say, a 50 megapixel sensor and you're filming with the 50 megapixel sensor, is it actually always better? Or do you end up with a shot that's like overly sharp, let's say, versus like if you shot with a lower megapixel sensor, does it look a bit more natural, that kind of thing? It's like the similar question to like, oh, well, if you film at 24 frames per second and, you know, things look a bit more cinematic with a bit more natural motion blur, versus if you shot a whole film at 120 frames per second and leave it at that, it would be too jarring almost, because we're seeing too many frames, right, in a movie. So I wonder if the same principle applies, where is there like a sweet spot when it comes to the megapixel size? But either way, with the 24.5 megapixel that the ZR has, I thought everything turned out really good, really good. So yeah. So here's what we're going to do on the streams. It's a lot of these. I'm happy to answer any questions and, you know, share the behind the scenes. How did we shoot these things? Like anything, whatever it is. In the meantime, if there's no questions, I'm just going to keep making progress on the next video I have to do, which is a product review. So let me jump over. Do I have the right browser open? Not these guys. Okay, here we go. Let me just refresh this one. So this is my notes that I've been taking. So if you ever want to know how do I make my script, there is no magic to it. It's a lot of me just writing stuff, and then I write my stuff to ChatGPT, and I basically use ChatGPT to review what I wrote, adjust any grammar stuff, or it just gives me an ability to it'll regurgitate a different version of whatever I said. So then I can bounce ideas or see if their version's better than my version, if there's some parts of it that I like compared to what I wrote, and then we keep it, and then I just keep doing iterations with ChatGPT. It's been super helpful. That's how I would not be able to do what I'm doing without ChatGPT. So yeah, shout out to my AI assistant. But okay, so basically what I've got so far, I'm keeping some notes here. You guys probably can't see it because the font size is too small, but maybe it's better. So I'm just keeping notes generally of like key things that I should cover in the video, some of the minor features, things like that. And then right now we were looking through all the behind the scenes shots of myself. And so we started color coding any of the shots that I think we'll end up using in the product review. And so we got some behind the scenes, so you'll be able to see like the camera out in the field. This is that microphone that I was talking about. We have some close-ups as well. But yeah, anyways. So I'm just going to keep track of some of these notes of the shots that I have to use. And then in terms of the opening hook, so I'm starting to write down the script itself. So we've got a decent script for each of the key sections, including the opening hook, the intro. Then I break into some of the key features that I'd like to talk about, which includes that red raw. Then the second feature will be about 32-bit flow audio and the digital shoe. And the third thing is around the in-body image stabilization, just because of my line of field or like the types of things that I like to shoot. And then the fourth one, which I still have to write out here, is around the 4-inch display screen size. So those are like the main features. But then within that, I'm still going to talk about some of the more like micro level stuff or the granular details. Mainly, let's say with the red, it's just like what are the frame rates you can shoot at which resolution. The dual base ISO, so you can shoot at either 800 ISO or shoot at 6400 ISO, and both worked really well for me. I believe the Sony FX3 is like it does better in low light technically, because I think the second ISO is maybe like 16 10,000 or 11,000. I honestly, I can't remember the number, but at least for what I was able to shoot with, I never seemed to run into those issues with like, you know, being underexposed too much if I needed to fix it. Mostly user error. If you ever see anything look bad, that's on me. What else would I be talking about? Let's see. Yeah, the 15 plus stops of dynamic range. The view assist, so the fact that you can load in the red LUTs into your camera. So instead of just looking at it with like a grayed out, you know, like a raw format or like a log format, you can put in a red LUTs directly, so then you literally can try to see more in line with what the final product will be. Because this is pre-launch and everything, I didn't have access to the red LUTs, but there was also a built-in Rec 709 look, so I basically just used that the whole time to try to like have more color into my shots. What else would I talk about? Yeah, the file sizes of shooting with the R3D. With the 1 terabyte card, I think at 6K 60 frames, I believe I was able to film up to 28 minutes of footage. So, I mean, and that was me, like, you know, I'm on a normal travel shoot, I probably am not filming at 6K 60 frames all the time. But obviously in this case, I wanted to test it and shoot at the maximum possible whenever possible. But generally, I tend to just shoot at 4K 60, 4K 30. Maybe these days we'll see. Like maybe I do want to shoot at like 6K 30 at times, just for that extra crop factor, or for the wildlife. You know, shooting at 6K or even 8K is nice because if the subject is super far away, you can like zoom in without losing resolution for your final product. So, but generally speaking, yeah, so it's like 6K is pretty good, and the file size was really decent, so I was happy about that. What other features will we talk about? Let me look at my minor feature list here. Yeah, so the view assist, the digital accessory. So again, the fact that it's got a digital shoe mount now, thankfully, finally. So I don't need to worry about cables and stuff. It's very lightweight, so it's only 630 grams. So it's actually lighter than the Z6 III. I think the Z6 III is maybe like 670 grams or like 700 grams, roughly in that ballpark. So it's even lighter. It's got a fanless heat dissipation. So, I mean, in my stress testing, I never ran into an issue, but I imagine like, I'm sure if you like are shooting out in the desert or stuff like that, or in very, very intense heat, maybe you'll run into problems like, you know, without the actual fans in the camera. But they purport to be able to, you should be able to like film for like 2 hours or something, even in like crazy heat. I did an interview for like over an hour long, and it wasn't like, it was indoors, but it wasn't like the coolest because it's like open kind of. Didn't have issues, at least for my small testing. Hello, Kevin. What's up, my friend? Good to see you on here, man. I forget when you were here last. So, yeah, actually, I'm trying to remember now. I believe you were here since I've come back. So welcome back again, though. We're on day 52. And I'm just going through my footages from the ZR project that I was on. So same old, but we've been making more progress on like my product review. So I've been like these are all my notes as I'm like starting to put together what the review is going to be about, my actual script, and then I'm trying to think through all the BTS shots that I need to include, where, all that kind of stuff. Delicious. I love my iced coffee. Kevin, you said, yeah, it's been tough to hear you talk about cameras. It's pretty stale, to be honest. Yeah, we'll get used to more and more of the ZR camera. But yeah, and you know what? Like I was joking, but like Nikon's not even asking for me to talk about their camera this much, okay? And here I am just giving free advertising to them. Although, if I talk about it in a very stale way, then maybe it's they're gonna actually pay me to not talk about it. Can you imagine we get to that point? It's like, yo, hey man, do you mind if you just stop mentioning us? We'll pay you like good money if you just like, I don't know, don't mention us for a while. Then I know I made it. It's a different way to success than I was hoping for, but I'll take it. Kevin, you said it's like Shark Week, except there's no cool sharks. Listen, we got cool shots, okay? And I have so much I still need to go through. So now I'm just kind of like, I do have loaded up now the BTS. So we've got all the behind the scenes shots as we start to kind of put together, like, how do we put a story together for this? So I think the product review is going to be, It's probably gonna be like 10 minutes long, 10 to no more than 15 for sure. But yeah, it's also my first time doing a proper product review, so everything is like a first time for me, which is gonna be quite fun. I feel like we did a good job with the documentary. Even, you know, that was our first time ever doing a documentary film. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So now this will be our first time doing a product review. So yeah, wish me luck on that. So we have some cool footage here. There's some footage I couldn't show from earlier, but these ones I should be able to show because basically we're in these like boats, and they, you know, like if you're a tourist, you can rent out these boats as well, and then they take you to like the edge of the island, and there's a few areas where the chimps will come out because when they know the boats are there, they come out because then they expect like there might be a feeding that happens or stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, I need to use some of these clips here in slow motion, showing the camera, of course. Man, every time if I could, I just want to be, oh my god, listen, okay, not that I'm not saying I'm jealous, all right, it's definitely not jealousy in a negative way, but there are some like really successful Nikon ambassadors. Like there's, oh, I forget her name, Roxy something. She's a really good wildlife photographer, and she's, you know, she has like a YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff as well, and I believe she's an ambassador for Nikon for Europe. And so she obviously got her hands on the ZR as well, and she went to Norway to like shoot the musk ox, which I actually I'd seen them before. This is before I got into like wildlife photography. But man, she was sharing her behind the scenes of like what it was like when she went, I think she spent like several weeks maybe shooting with the new ZR, and I was like, I was so jealous because I only had a few days to shoot with this thing. And then she was sharing the behind the scenes on Instagram. Holy shit, she had a whole film crew. Like there's like and when I say film crew, it felt like a Nat Geo style film crew. I don't know what that's like, but she, you know, there are like 3 people surrounding her, and there's even one guy who's got one of those boom mics and is like walking backwards with the boom mic while they're out in nature. I was like, holy, and you can see they all got the crazy gear on with like massive tripods for filming, and I was just like, yo, where's my film crew? I need to get to that level where I can freaking afford or I can justify / afford having a film crew. That is our ambition, right? If we just have a 3-man team, right? We just need 2 other people to travel with me, and then like we just capture cool stories, and everyone's got we trust each other, everyone knows what they're doing, and like boom. Anyways, I was very jealous. I did have someone with me from Nikon's office who like helped capture some of the behind the scenes, but they were mainly there just to like bring the camera with them because, you know, they don't trust me to take the camera myself. There's levels to this shit. Yes, exactly, Kevin. It's like, oh my god, seriously. They had like professional, oh man. But anyways, that's what I'm saying. I'm like semi-joking about this. I'm not like actually, that's what I'm saying. Jealous is the wrong word, because like clearly she earned that kind of support, right? But I'm more like excited. I'm like, yo, okay, so you're saying that is a possibility, right? And yeah, maybe another thing I want to do, because someone was chatting with me, there is like a Nikon creator who is currently doing a project with National Geographic, and you know, like a decent size, similar to me, to be honest, like very similar to me in terms of like whatever reach or size or anything, just different circumstances and all. But either way, she was able to leverage her situation really effectively, and apparently I need to figure out exactly how she did this, but I think through like a local entity, she ended up being able to rope into like a National Geographic expedition. So she's like out there, I think in Antarctica, like photographing, or part of a big crew, right? So she's like one of the junior photographers, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know the details, but basically she's part of a large crew, and they're spending like, I think, over a month tracking one of these rare polar bears and like maybe a baby or something. I have no idea, but I was like, yo, that is so cool. So it's like, okay, what is my excuse, right? If these people are doing these things, and like obviously they're not to like take away from their talent or anything, but it's like, okay, what's stopping me from doing the same thing? And it's really just up to me to like make it possible. So I feel like I have the portfolio now. So I think I just, once I have some time to breathe, which will probably be in maybe 1 or 2 weeks from now, I do want to sit down and like think about how do I pitch. Even someone even reached out about like if I wanted to pitch this documentary for like film festivals and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll give it some proper thought about like how can we, like you said, Kevin, we want to, there's levels to this shit and we want to get to the next one, right? We gotta elevate ourselves. So we'll see. Yeah, you can't get jealous, get motivated. Yeah. I'm just generally not like the jealous type. Whenever I see someone who's succeeding or has something that I wish I had, to me, it's always just like more power to you, however you got it. And then from my side, it just, it's motivation. It's like, okay, well, can I reach something similar or not? So, but yeah, listen, we're gonna try to be Nat Geo. Okay, we're gonna try to be that Nat Geo level. Okay, Nico, welcome back. I forget what you said. You said you had to take care of something before. You haven't missed anything. We've just been talking more. Although I was just chatting with Kevin about trying to become a Nat Geo style filmmaker. But I think that the real trick is not to like pitch. Actually, no. Why not? Maybe part of it is like I need to pitch my own concept to a Nat Geo type or something, and then separately I need to pitch to these Nat Geo types if I can join a crew. Like, can I join an expedition as like the equivalent of the, what do you call it in football? Like the water cooler dude, the water boy. Yeah, the equivalent of like a water boy. I'll do it. I'll be the lens cleaner. Okay, I'll just be the guy that runs around when the film guy's like, yo, they'll like snap at me, and I'll rush over there like, yes sir, yes ma'am, and then I just got my little towel and I just like breathe onto the lens, and then I wipe it nice and clean and give it to them. I'll do that job, gladly, if I can join one of those expeditions. So anyways, so we got a bunch of these shots. We've already color coded them, so these are all the ones that we said are potentials that we should feel safe to use, or at least some portion of it, for the product review footage. So we got some behind the scenes, mixture of shots of the camera with the shotgun mic, some without. We got the shots where you can see from the monitor display, and then I do have some footage from the Atomos, so we can mix in all of those. And yeah, so this one, Enrico, to your question earlier, so here's an example. Like, all of this interview was with the tripod. So yeah, besides these interview shots, I'm pretty sure everything else, I'm trying to think, was there ever any time I used it was all handheld or like makeshift, putting my bag and then like resting the camera or my elbow on the back. Yeah, whatever, it's handheld. But yeah, the best example that we mentioned is the very opening shot, because this whole shot was made handheld while I was like walking backwards. So this one was shot with a 35mm f1.2. I believe it was at f2, and literally just walking backwards, trying to be as steady as possible and not tripping over the roots and the tree branches and stuff like that. So I think all in all, I feel like I'm definitely going to include this in the product review, because to me it's like, okay, if you're someone new to filmmaking like myself, and I wanted to, if I saw a product review that would convince me to purchase this product, let's say the ZR, and the only way I can learn, or the only way that will convince me, is show me shots. Just show it to me, right? Like, show me the field test. Quit saying numbers to me. Don't tell me, oh, this is the R3D NE codec with the 3 million something nits, or like the PCI blah blah blah. Like, all of that is meaningless to someone like me, because I'm just so new to the space. I know visuals, that's it. So I can at least say, like, show me the shot and you tell me, did you shoot this with the camera? Did you have any other accessories? No, you just shot it handheld. Oh snap, okay. You know what, I know I'm gonna do something similar to this, so now this is a valuable review, because now I actually do want to buy this camera, let's say. So with that in mind, I definitely, let me see if I can find the footage. The original shot was in 6K 60. Here, somewhere here. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Here it is. So here's like the original shot. So I'll turn off the music because then we'll let the actual audio as well. It was really cool. It was such a cool moment. And yeah, I guess I did it in vertical. Yeah, I had a few attempts, and all of it was just like as I'm walking backwards. Let's see, where can we start from? I know there was one earlier. I have some in vertical. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I need to make a Instagram reel. I think it's high time now. I have to keep promoting. Yeah, I have to be smart about it. I need to make a reel maybe tonight so that I could post it either tonight or tomorrow, because then that's another way to hopefully get people to watch my YouTube video. So everything is in the it's to promote my YouTube video. I have to be smarter about it. Okay, let me find the first shot where there's a good example of the chimp walking. Oh, this one. Okay. Let me turn down the audio. Okay. And then the rendering took a bit of time there. I'm not sure why. Okay, let's just try to play it and see what happens. Interesting. Now the playback is a bit slower, although before it was never a problem. I think I'm weighing it down somehow.
Yeah, guys.
Okay, let me go to the other ones. Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this one. So I believe this is shot without any stabilization. Let me just double check. Yeah, so there's no stabilization on this footage. It's just as is. And then we can show, yeah, like, so this is that with the, what is it? So they say it's got 7.5 stops of, what do you stand for? In-body image stabilization. Now, as far as I know from like my brief research, I believe that IBIS is actually better than the competition. So for what it's worth, it seems like the in-body image stabilization is better. And 7.5 usually is like pretty decent. Like, and again, it's just a number. So to me, it's more like, can you prove it to me? Can you show me some footage and let me know if it's worth it? So all of this was handheld. So you'll see, like, obviously it's not going to be very, very stable because it's a lot of me walking backwards, tripping over these kind of like tree roots and stuff. But then either the shake is negligible or it's fixable, right? Like by the final, once I add in some stabilization, all that kind of stuff. So this is me just walking backwards, holding the camera. This is me, I think, tripping into someone.
Come here.
So here is a, obviously it's very, very dark here. So maybe this is a question of like how crushed is the blacks. Because I did shoot this pretty dark. Let's just lift it for now, maybe. Okay, let's get more walking shots. There we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, I got some nice vertical shots. I think at this point, you see the babies chilling. And then the mom's like, yo, get your ass down. And this was even tougher because now I'm holding the camera sideways. That is one thing I miss about, obviously, like with the Z9, you got like the vertical grip built in, so then it's just easier to hold. But yeah, in this case, I'm literally holding the camera sideways, and then I'm just walking backwards, or in this case now moving aside to let the chimps go past. And then this is a bit more color graded versions, but so you can see a lot of shake, but it's all like a fixable shake, and you'll see it in the final products. But then, like generally speaking, like this is all from me walking backwards, trying to multitask and not die. And also, I was hoping to show this in real-time speed, but there's so much rendering going on here. Let's see, can I just, if we hide all that. Okay, so this is what it looked like in real time. So these chimps are walking pretty fast. And so you're like trying to go as fast as you can, hoping that the stabilization is pretty good on the camera, hoping it doesn't have these weird jitters and stuff. And I would say, personally speaking, I would say this is pretty damn stable for what I was asking it to do. And then it was stable enough that I ultimately ended up using that as the final footage, right? Or like the hero shot. So let's see if we have this one as well. Same thing. Let me just go ahead and turn off all the stuff just so we can watch it. So there's like one quick jitter there, but other than that, although, let me see. Yeah, there's like maybe one or two there, but I forget why. I'm trying to remember because I'm trying to remember the behind the scenes of this shot in particular. But generally speaking, like you had all these moments here, besides when I was making adjustments there, and then once it's actually like time to walk backwards, it's like, oh, here we go. So yeah. What other examples do I have? I mean, those are the coolest ones for sure. So when it comes to like showing like the behind the scenes of like, hey, here's the effect of like having this camera that can be pretty stable. So then the question is like, especially for the pros, obviously the pros are going to be like, yo, I need a full kit. Like I need this thing where I can have a big enough monitor screen that I can see everything. I need to make sure I can rig up any batteries and the shotgun mics and everything else. And then it's like, I need a gimbal for what I need to shoot with. Honestly, for me, I was like, yo, I don't ever use a gimbal, and I still don't think I will. Like, I still feel really comfortable just shooting as is, and not worrying too much. So, and the colors look nice. I think I was shooting with this might have been with the 85. I think I was shooting with the 85 1.2. So one thing I am getting better at, oh, sorry, I missed, sorry guys, I missed a bunch of your messages. It was stuck. Kevin, you said, I think that's the Asian obedient stereotype. Oh wait, was that when I was talking about the lens cleaning thing, I think? Nico, you said, will you include the behind the scenes at the review? Yes, 100%. So when I make the product review, it is going to mix in a bunch of the behind the scenes with like product shots or like me in front of the camera talking about it. So the point is like we do have some really cool footages to show. And so the product review is meant to like bring you behind the scenes with me. So it's not so much showing you the final product as much as it is like trying to prove a point of like, I want you to be there like someone like me as an aspiring filmmaker, understand my lack of knowledge, but then see the quality that I was able to produce with my lack of knowledge. And hopefully that'll make people be like, oh, okay, maybe I should get one of these. Controversial hot take from Kevin. That overwhelming hustle at any length, knowing working hard and staying focused will bring you the fruits of labor. Is that a controversial hot take? I'm not sure, because I feel like, I would disagree that it's a hot take. I'm agreeing with you that I think there is a level of like hustle and grinding that some people possess. Some people possess it only on like certain projects or when they're like passionate about something, for sure. But yeah, if you have that kind of mental mindset, I guess, if you have the mindset of like grinding and hustling and stuff, I do feel like, of course, it should, in the long run, you should reap the rewards from that. It's kind of like the concept of karma to me, where it's like, do I necessarily believe that there is this, supernatural concept of like, you do good in the world and it'll come back to reward you, or if you do bad in the world, whatever. I don't necessarily think there's like a supernatural angle to it, but I do feel like if you're constantly someone who is projecting positive energy to the world, you're likely to attract other people being positive back to you. And like just the odds of you, if you're a negative person, then yeah, you're also going to attract negative people around you or negative energy towards you. So I think it's the same thing. If you're someone who's hustling all the time, if you're someone who's grinding all the time, it's just a matter of the fact that you're like working hard towards things and like you're showing a mental fortitude that most people may not normally possess or showcase on a day-to-day. It should over time take you above average. You were saying that was about when you were talking about manifesting Nat Geo via Waterboy vibes. Yeah. We're all about that manifesting, okay? About cleaning lenses for the professionals. Yeah, listen, we're gonna get there, okay? War of attrition, yes. Yes. I see what you're saying. It is a war of attrition. Most people will burn out, and that is one of the things where it's like, at least for me personally, I feel pretty confident saying that the concept of burning out just doesn't really, it doesn't reveal itself in me at a mental level. Physically, I'm sure. I'm going to drop dead in like 2 or 3 years if I keep at it at this pace. But at least mentally, I feel strong. So, oh, that shot is so cool. Okay. Anyways, so what are we gonna do here? So we got all these footages. Obviously, we still need to review quite a bit of it. Then where did we end off yesterday? We might have finished everything yesterday in terms of highlighting. Or did we? Oh wait, no, we did not. Okay, so we do have a few more things to look through. Okay, so where did I stop yesterday? Okay, so we did all these. So it must be the next. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on all the shots of myself that were taken, like the BTS kind of stuff, to see what I can use from there.
Something that I think is really important for people to realize. We're here to have fun, we're here to have a good time, but also to really take care of those who cannot.
Okay, not this one. Not this one. Okay, yeah, let's look from this one. So we did do a little bit of like product shots at the very last day without anything on it. So like no small rig, no accessories. Kevin, you said, what if we have much more power over our reality than we realize? I mean, I think that is true. I think I definitely am not the type who would say you just have to be resigned to your fate. Yeah, you have the ability to. I think we had this conversation before, the concept of like manifesting, and like, while I don't necessarily believe in that from a supernatural angle, I do feel, again, it's the same thing as we just talked about with grinding and stuff. It's just, if you put a certain energy out there all the time, you either can, you can will it to be in a sense of like you're just putting the energy towards something that other people are not. So it's like, let's imagine if every day on these streams I kept saying, and I already forgot the name of that sparkling soda company, the brand that I was using, but let's say every day on my stream, I'm like shouting out lens distortions, and I'm like, yo, I love lens distortions. I want, lens distortions. If you hear me, I want to work with you. Like, sponsor me, that kind of stuff. And let's say I do it every day, but then I'm like, I'm manifesting it through like my speech about like, here's what I want. And then eventually maybe someone who works with, lens distortions, or like somehow they tag or they get a hold of like, in the algorithms that I mentioned lens distortions, and boom, all of a sudden, like maybe someone will reach out to me because of that. Now that's like obviously a hypothetical, but that is a form of, I guess, quote unquote manifesting, or like to your point, you have more power over your reality. You can manipulate the future, and sometimes it is literally just by saying something over and over and over again until you either annoy someone to the point where you'll never have that opportunity because someone finally heard you and they're like, yo, you need to just shut up. And in which case you did technically have more power over your reality, even if it was not the result you wanted. So San Pellegrino? No, it's not that one. Crap, and this is why we're not going to be sponsored by them, because I forgot their name. It has an M in it. It was like Monsieur or something maybe. I don't know. The flavor ones. I do have the San Pellegrino as well. San Pellegrino was never part of my reality until you made it exist. Nice. We are always trying to make new things happen, okay? We're trying to make fetch happen. So one of the things we're trying to make happen is, I think there's a better view I can show from this. Okay, can you hear me now? I forgot. This is like I set up the scene where it just has nothing there besides the visual, so that way I can take a screenshot or like create thumbnails and stuff. So I totally forgot that you guys can't hear me. But yeah, basically what I was saying. Thank you, Kevin. In terms of making fetch happen, or like trying to create something that no one else has, right? I'm trying to make this water gallon, like a 5-gallon water jug, being like our little lamp light diffuser. We're trying to make that a real thing, okay? I don't think any other stream is going to have something like this, because like I kind of stumbled upon it, but like I have it for obviously drinking water, but especially when it's full, right now it's like midway through. When the LED light, the warm light is cutting through, it gets this interesting diffusion and it just kind of lights up that space. And it's like, okay, well, this is better than the lamps that everyone else uses, right? So yes, I'm gonna start a Kickstarter for this one, right? It's like, wait, it's like, do you have a patent on this? It's like, yeah, I have a patent on this. You're telling me you have a patent for buying any 5-gallon jug, putting it on a stand, and then putting a light on behind it? Yeah, well, maybe. But yes, I like that. So we're all about trying new things. BPA free, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, we'll figure out the details later. Anyways. We have other Kickstarters in mind before we get to that one. Have I heard of the rubber hand illusion? I have not. The rubber hand illusion. Enlighten us. Actually, let's let ChatGPT enlighten us. It's been a while. We need to... Where are you? Oh, it was just there. Amber, have you ever heard of the rubber hand illusion?
I have indeed. The rubber hand illusion is a pretty cool psychological experiment. Basically, it's this trick where a fake rubber hand is placed in front of you and your real hand is hidden from view. Then both the rubber hand and your real hand are stroked at the same time. After a while, your brain kind of gets tricked into feeling like the rubber hand is actually your real hand. It's a neat demonstration of how our sense of body ownership can be cooled and how the brain integrates visual and tactile information. So yeah, it's a pretty famous illusion in psychology and neuroscience circles.
Yes, I have heard of that then. I just didn't know that's what it was talking about. Yeah, because I've seen that video where they think they're like getting burned or like they're getting stabbed in the hand. Or yeah, like yeah, maybe it's a hammer. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when you grab a hammer out. Yeah, so I have seen that, which is crazy. It is such a crazy concept. I get what you're getting at in terms of like how you can, yeah, like perceive reality or make reality that's not there. The example that I give in my personal life experience was the first time I ever traveled with a camera. So my first ever trip, once I purchased a real camera, it was a Sony a6000. I went to Canada. I went to Banff National Park, and yeah, it was super fun, by the way. Amazing trip. But on that trip, I ended up being the designated driver. I went by myself, and then I met a bunch of people at the hostel, and then they had upgraded my vehicle to like a big ass whatever. So then I was like, yo, hop in. So then we traveled around everywhere, and then we drove, I think it was like 3 to 4 hours to get to Jasper National Park. And I'm the driver, and I was getting so tired. Like I was on the verge of like bordering on when it's like dangerous and you need to like take a nap or like pull over. I wasn't necessarily there, but by the time we got to Jasper National Park, I'm exhausted, and I have to do the 4-hour drive back afterwards. I was dropping some of them off in Jasper. As we entered Jasper, we saw a bunch of cars parked on the side, and it turns out there was a massive elk that was just grazing near the road. So we all got out of the car because we're all excited, and I got my camera, I got Snapchat, so I used my phone, I was recording on Snapchat, and I got pretty close to the elk because I'm an idiot, but then there was some trees, there's like some brushes and like trees in front of me, or in between me and the elk, so I thought I was safe, and as the elk was walking, I was going with it so that I could film it when I could see the elk through the openings in the trees. But then the elk saw me through the opening and decided to jump through the opening and charge right at me. I actually got all of it on film. It's like buried in my Instagram, like super deep in the feed. But essentially, I did film the whole thing. I didn't let go of the record button. And basically, I tripped immediately. I turned around to run, tripped, rolled on the ground, assumed I was about to die. But then the elk saw how pathetic I looked, and it just kind of like stopped after it charged at me. Anyways, so all of that to say, the adrenaline that I felt was insane. Like, it was holy shit. Because it was like a life flash before your eyes type moment. Like I literally thought I was about to get like everything slowed down. I had some final thoughts, but then one of the thoughts was the fact that like, oh my god, the way I'm gonna die is having an elk's antlers impaling me from ass to face. That was just my assumption. Like it had its head down. I was pretty certain I was about to get impaled in the most embarrassing way possible. And also, yeah, anyways, all of that to say that when I realized I did survive, I was so jacked up on the adrenaline that for the remainder of that 3-4 hour drive back, I was so wired. Like I didn't need a drop of coffee. And it was kind of crazy then to think like your brain was able to trick. I mean, it wasn't a trick necessarily. It literally panicked, right? I was in panic mode, and then it just, whatever, secreted or whatever, the adrenaline, gets injected into your bloodstream somehow, right? But yeah, it is kind of crazy that technically, even if that didn't happen, let's imagine that's like what happens in your dreams, let's say. But if you have those nightmares, or if you think or you imagine something terrifying, or you imagine something's happening and you get riled up emotionally, you could trick your brain into like injecting your body with those endorphins or the adrenaline that you need. So I'm sure there are people who probably through meditation or like whatever, like just having better control of themselves, they might be able to literally control some of those aspects, like, wake themselves up, mentally by imagining something and like allowing that panic or the real emotions kick in, and I don't know. But that was like almost felt like magic to me. The fact that I had this panic moment, and then instead of needing any coffee or caffeine, I just was wired. I was like, yo, can I like tap into that more often? I'm assuming that can't be healthy for you, but anyways. A version of you in a different reality died via elk. Yes. And it'd be the most embarrassing way to die. There's a few things I'm leaving out of that story, but it was pretty embarrassing. It's called quantum immortality, based on quantum theory. The only thing I can control is my bowel movements. Nice. Well, there's a world out there where you can't control your bowel movements. The bowel movements control you. But yes. Okay, anyways. So I think I get what you're saying with the hand illusion thing. it is kind of crazy to think there's a lot within our control if we only were aware of it, I guess. Okay, let's keep tagging some of these shots. Okay, so nice. We do have one of them where we open it up. Unfortunately, the framing here is a little bit bad. Maybe she fixes it later. Let's see. Because it's so low. Like, ideally, it would have been higher up. Maybe we did a few versions. Let's see. And the problem is, I think she was shooting with like a f1.2 probably. So there's only like a few milliseconds, or usually like most things are not in focus unless she gets it focused. So, okay, but here's fine. Just a little bit there is all I need. So we got the front, or the top of the camera. Whoops. God, I hate this part of DaVinci. Has this annoying feature where, like, when I have multiple timelines here, if I accidentally click on it because I'm trying to get to the slider, it just jumps me to that freaking timeline. Okay. So I'm gonna cut it from here to there. Lurking time for Kevin. Well, you do you, my friend. Lurk away. In the meantime, we're gonna keep on working here. We will work while you lurk. Yeah, so these are just like very, very brief moments, but we take what we got, you know? Also, I don't know when, but hopefully I will be able to get the ZR again, just to do some final like product shots, or like anything I missed. And obviously the settings will be different, so we're not outdoors. It'll just be probably like from my, yeah, it'll be like the overhead shot. But yeah, I do need to get some shots of the camera. Hey, thank you very, very much, Stan Lee, for the follow on Kick. Because you're on Kick, I can only assume you have something you want to pitch to me. Let's hear it. What Discord community would you like me to join? We're all waiting. But yeah. That reminds me. Yeah, so we're on what, day 52? Day 52 of live streaming. So I do still need to make a video about my first 30 days, my first month of multi-streaming across YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. There's a lot that I learned from doing this, and all of it has been really cool. Like, obviously I'm still doing it, right? We're on day 52. I've really thoroughly enjoyed being a live streamer. There's a lot that I still need to learn how to do to be a better streamer. But as far as like, do I enjoy the process? 1000%. And so if I can share some of that knowledge, or share, like, you know, here are the do's and the don'ts, here are some things I wish I knew before I started, I figure I can share that. One of the things, though, Kick has been such an interesting platform. For the longest time, although granted I've been off for the past 2 weeks with this project, but for the longest time it was always in the middle of the pack, where it felt like there's always roughly like, maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 people on watching me on Kick. But the problem is, Kick, I can never tell who's real, because oftentimes people who follow or message, they're like saying like, hey, join my Discord, or like, do you want to gamble? Like shit like that. So it is a little bit frustrating to have to like figure out who's spam and who's not. So Stan Lee, thank you for your question, because then at the very least, you could still be spam. You might be a high level spammer. Maybe you're like asking this question, and then the next thing you're gonna ask is like, hey, do you want to join my Discord where I sell some product? But yeah, Stanley, thank you for being here. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. So Stanley Alvarez from the Kick side, you asked, what editing software are you using, bro? Well, Mr. Bro, let me tell you, you're not like that? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm kidding kind of, but oh my God, there's so many scammers or spammers or whatever. Like, yeah, it's a little like, If I'm going to be real, it is a little disappointing that, because then I get so excited. We're such a new streamer, right? So every time someone follows me, I'm always like, oh, nice. Who is it? And then every time I see it's from Kick, I get super excited. I might even be like, yo, Stan Lee, thank you for the follow. And as I'm saying that out loud, Stan Lee's message would be like, hey, I like your stream. By the way, if you check out this Discord, you can actually find a way to get as many followers in 10 days or whatever. I'm like, God damn it. So I'm glad to know you're not like that, or at least you're saying you're not. To your question, this is DaVinci Resolve. So we are mostly doing our edits on DaVinci Resolve. It depends, like, I guess, I don't know if you do a lot of video editing. We're kind of in the middle of the pack when it comes to experience level. I've been doing video editing for about 2.5 years, and mostly just for like Instagram Reels, TikTok, that kind of stuff. In the past year, I've been trying to be more focused on YouTube. So trying to do like long form content, mostly travel vlog content. And then more recently, I'm now trying to be much more professional about what I do. So I'm trying to make my videos feel more like film. So how can I make it more cinematic? And so a lot of the footages you're seeing right now is from a trip that I went on recently. And I was very fortunate that Nikon reached out to me. I have a working relationship with them out in the region. I live in Dubai right now. But yeah, they reached out asking if I would like to test out their new product, which is the Nikon ZR. So this is not in the market yet, but I was able to test out a pre-production unit. I went to Uganda for a few days, spent time in a chimp island, and basically I filmed a lot of chimpanzees. And so we ended up making a nice little short film. So if you'd like to check it out, let me make sure to promote myself. It's a 5-minute video on YouTube. Feel free to check it out when you have some time. Make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. But this is our very first attempt at making a documentary. It's only 5 minutes, but it was shot with the new Nikon ZR. So anyways, for those kind of things, Stanley, I would say it requires usually a bit more powerful editing software. So DaVinci Resolve is absolutely an amazing tool. It's very, very powerful, especially for like color, for people who are like super into color science or like color grading. Supposedly DaVinci's quite renowned for that compared to, I guess it's above average compared to others. So that's what I use as well. And so you're just kind of watching. Right now we're going through some of the footages that someone who traveled with me, she had taken a bunch of behind the scenes shots of me, which I need to include in my product review. So Nico, you're asking what software do you use for photos? I use Lightroom. So I still haven't gone through the photos from this trip because I can't access it on Lightroom right now. So I need to figure out like how can I get the, because again, it was a beta file, right? So I was using a pre-production unit. So, but yeah, I do almost 99% of my editing is from Lightroom. Occasionally, I'll bring it into Photoshop if I need to like expand the canvas or leverage some of the AI things that they've got. Otherwise, yeah, it's always Lightroom. Kevin, you said Kick is kind of a cesspool. kind of. I kind of like Kick. I feel like there's some features that Kick has, which is surprising that Twitch doesn't have. Especially like the fact that you, it's just much easier for me. Or one, I can rewind and I can watch a stream from the beginning, which I don't think I can still do if I'm like trying to watch someone on Twitch, which is super annoying. And I think, like I said with the conversation yesterday, even when it comes to like Nikon versus Canon versus Sony and all that, I think competition is always good, right? Because then obviously the consumers, hopefully we win out whenever there's better competition. And so I really hope Kick continues to be successful. I know it's captured more of the market, like the market size or the market share over time. I hope it continues because then it means that Twitch has to step up its game. YouTube will constantly do what it's doing. And then for me as a streamer, hopefully that means, yeah, hopefully as long as I'm streaming to all three, we should be able to win. So especially if we get real people like Stan Lee. So Stan Lee, thank you. I'm desperate, okay? I need you to stay in the stream. I need you to keep watching my stream, okay? Because then also the Kick people are always so quiet. I would literally see like every time we've been streaming in the past 2 months, there'd be like 5 people on average on Kick, but it's like the quietest 5 people. So I'm just always assuming, are you like 5 bots that are just like watching, waiting for the moment to like throw in a nice little you know, advertisement of something? Nico, you asked me, have you ever used GIMP? Wait, no, I've never used GIMP, but someone else had asked me about this before, or I've heard of this product or something. Because the term GIMP sounds so weird. GIMP. So I think I like looked this up before or something. Is a cross-platform image editor available for Linux, GNU, Linux, Mac OS. Interesting. No, I've never used it. I like the logo for what it's worth. Oh wait, dude, I thought the logo was well, I thought it was a raccoon at first, but whatever this animal is, I thought it was smoking a cigarette. So it needs to change. Maybe that was on it. Maybe that's intentional, because the paintbrush color looks too much like a cigarette. Anyways, Stan Lee. Oh no, Kevin, you said that's actually kind of cool. I don't know what you were referring to. I'm so bad at reading chat when it happens. Stanley, you said, by the way, I'm just a beginner at editing videos and I want to learn more or know more about editing. Well, listen, you have come to the right place. Okay, that's all we do. If you watch any of my streams, there's a lot of them, right? So we've been streaming almost 52 days in a row. I had to take 2 weeks off to do this film project, but if you watch any of my former streams, you will see that all we do, like most of the time, it is around video editing, and I share the entire process. So I share everything from, like, as you see me load in the footages, doing all the color corrections, grading the footages, stabilizing it. But then also when it comes to like making Instagram reels or doing soundtracks and like trying to figure out what the right music choice would be or the sound effects. So we're learning together as I like figure out how to do all of that, adding in text, doing other types of visual effects. Yeah, and then also it's not just about that. We'll use this time to, like, you know, for instance, here I was showing how I'm making my script for the next video. So I'm going to make a product review video about the Nikon ZR. So then I share even the process of like, how do I come up with the script? How do I figure out the narrative to eventually getting to a point where I feel like, okay, I'm ready to film myself saying all these lines, you know, recording, having all the shots that I need in between, all that. So we are here to share the entire process, the workflow, the different software that we use, all of it. So if that's of interest to you, then by all means, I hope you'll continue checking out my streams. You can also join my Discord, which I'm punching into the chat right now. So if you join the Discord, we're looking to build out a community, and there's a number of really excellent photographers, video editors, filmmakers, director of photographers, stuff like that, whatever, director of photography. Really educated people, right? And so you can learn from them, you can share your work, and then also you'll know whenever I go live. So then selfishly, you'll also be notified whenever I hit the live button. So for all those reasons, feel free to join the Discord. You can share your photos and videos there. I can critique it, or members in the community can critique it as well. So yes, the fact that you say you're a beginner, that's great to hear, because I want this to feel accessible, because I am not an expert by any means. But I am very proud of the work that I've been able to create, very much self-taught. But then we live in the era where everybody is self-taught. And, you know, whether it's YouTube or Google or AI, you have the ability to, like, not have to go to school or do, like, formal training to pick up really useful talents, let's say. And if you know how to handle a camera, that's as useful as it gets. It crosses, like, all industries. So, yeah, and, like, I am not I didn't study this in school or anything. I studied business economics. I was not in any creative field. This is just a hobby / passion that I continue to invest time into. And eventually now this is something I'm doing full time, and I'm committed to. But yeah, it's not like if you looked at my background, there would be nothing that says like, oh, of course he was going to do this eventually. There's nothing that says that. So hopefully I can inspire you as well when it comes to, like, if you see and if you like the footages, if you like the stories that I end up creating, just know that it didn't require years and years of some kind of specialized training to get there. So, okay, in the meantime, most of this I probably won't end up using because it looks a little bit like there's like a trash can behind me. So it is a little bit too much going on here, like with the okay, these are better though. This is a little bit more easy to see what's happening. Just tell me it's in focus. Okay, so maybe around here. Kevin, you said Yobel went from managing hedge funds to taking pics from hedges and having fun. Nice. No, I was definitely not an investment banker or one of those guys. That was a field that a lot of my friends are in. Like a bunch of my friends from university, they ultimately went down the investment banking route, VC route, and it's like I just never had an interest for any of that. But more power to them because they make the big bucks, right? That's how you make the big money. Kevin, you said, I feel like I could have executed that better, but I'm freestyling. Executed what better? Oh, your line there. That's a good line. I liked it. Because when I think of hedges, that's actually the word that I should have used to describe when that elk charged at me. It charged at me in between two hedges. But the thing is, I only see the word hedge from like books. I've never actually heard someone say that word out. Or, yeah, I've literally never heard anyone say the word out loud until just now. But yeah, the elk literally charged at me. There's like one hedge, a little opening, another hedge. And then as I was walking parallel tracking with the elk, right as the opening between the two hedges, sees me, looks away, and then goes psych, and then just went right through. I was like, Jesus, I'm done. Oh, man. Okay, I just don't have enough usable footage from this. Okay, I don't want to be too harsh on whoever filmed this, but like, I think it's because she was also using my camera, so she wasn't like, you know, it's like if someone gives you their camera, it's like, you know, it's not yours. So, but yeah, in hindsight, I wish we had maybe shot with like maybe like a f2.8 or something. I have no idea what she was shooting with here, but it's a little too shallow. Also, it's kind of funny because you can see what I was shooting, which is nothing. It's like, I even said this as she was filming. I'm like, yo, I'm literally just filming some like park benches, essentially. So, you know, is that going to be worth it? But at least we can do this. Okay. So when I start closing or opening it up. But again, it's a boring shot. I think I have better shots, but just in case, let's tag this one. The elk that charged at me, Act 1. Yeah, that was interesting. Sorry, I just went on a tangent when I was thinking about that. It's like Act 1, as in like, what act in my life am I in right now? If that was Act 1, how far are we in the story of Yobel? Kevin, I immediately lost control of my bowel movements as I stood between the hedges. Oh, you know what? That was also... If there's a few nice things to know, it's knowing that when facing near-death situations, it was good to know that I didn't piss my pants or shit my pants or anything. So that was a nice little check. So, okay. It was good that I didn't scream like a little girl or anything. But not to say what I did was any less embarrassing, because it's on the recording. Literally my last words, and I had the slow motion thought of this, as the elk charges straight towards me through the hedges, and as I'm slowly trying to turn around to run away, the only words I can utter in that quick moment was, uh-oh. That's all I said. I was like, uh-oh. And then all the chaos, right? So I remember as I was turning around to run, and then I tripped, and as I'm hitting the ground, when life slows down, it was a weird feeling because it didn't necessarily slow down. It was all fast, but you do have this feeling like you were able to process a bunch of thoughts immediately in that split second, which is why I guess people say time slows down. And the few thoughts that I had in a split second was one, well, firstly, it was like, obviously like, oh shit, I'm about to die. Two, it was like, I think I'm about to get impaled by the antler from my asshole to the face. So I was like, oof. Three, I was like, I can't believe my last words are going to be uh-oh. And it wasn't even like a nice way to say uh-oh. Not that there is a good way, but it was like the most lame-ass way to be like, uh-oh. It was just really bad. So to think that's my last words, very lame, not cool. Redo, please. And then the other thought, oh yeah, and then the last thing that I would hear before my life is over was the sound of Siri or whatever because since I was a driver, my iPhone had the Google Maps or whatever maps set up. So then as I turned to run away, and just like the motion, I guess, or just whatever, at that time, my iPhone decided to speak to me with the Siri voice or whatever, being like, continue on XYZ drive, blah, blah, blah. So it was just like that split second of thinking like, wow, last things I say is, uh-oh. Last thing I'm going to feel is an antler impaling me across the entire body. And the last thing I'm going to hear is the voice of Siri or Google Maps, whatever, telling me, continue on, blah, 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 to get to wherever. Right? So it was just like a mixture of randomness and like, this is such a lame way to go. But yeah, why did I bring that up? Oh, because of the lost control of my bowel movements. Yeah. So anyways, with all of that said, at the very least, I'm glad that I didn't shit or piss my pants. I didn't scream. Not to say what I said was any better, but at least I didn't scream. And also, and this is also how I knew that I can move on to act 2 of the story of me as a photographer or like a content creator. Because the one thing I was proud of was that I never let go of the record button. So and this is like, I had my iPhone and I was recording on Snapchat. So it was one of those where you just had to long press the record button. The whole time when the elk charges at me, as I turn, as I trip, as I roll and hit the ground and flip over, the entire time I never let go of the record button. And that's when I knew I had it. That was my calling sign of like, okay, you're meant to be a content creator and a photographer, because now you know if a bear is charging at you, if an elephant's charging at you, you should be probably like recording the entirety of it up until it kills you. So I had my priorities straight is what I'm saying. So there's a few learnings there for sure. What else did I learn from that? Yeah, I guess, maybe the way I panic is a bit more toned down, which is, like serves me well at times, I would say. Like when these chimps are charging, even on this trip, right? The chimps are charging right at you, but you're just kind of so focused on getting the shot, you don't even think about it. Now calling Pizza Hut, yeah. Siri call, oh shoot, my actual phone just heard me say that. Ignore me, Siri. Okay. When people typically die, your nervous system can cause you to clench on things. You'll see people still clenching on their weapon after being dead. True, yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like what I did was exceptional or like, like superhuman or other whatever. It was more just like of the type of person who might drop their things, right? Like you get so frightened, you like, let go of things. At least I'm the one that clenches harder. So that means I won't let go of the camera. I will hopefully, hold on to the shutter button. And they do say cameraman never dies, true. But I don't know. I've come pretty close to it at times. So I've definitely pushed my luck a bit. I've basically said as much. I was like, I don't think I'm going to live to long age. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to die from one of these trips. And you know what? It's a good way to go, okay? As long as I record it. And you know what? I have those thoughts sometimes when you're on the plane and when you're experiencing turbulence, right? The thoughts that I always have about that is like, you know what? I'm okay. And also, if the plane crashes, at least it'll be quick, right? It should be, I'm assuming, hopefully. But the thing that would be my disappointment, the thing that would make me dread that happening is not so much the loss of life, which is like, it's definitely a bummer, sure. It's more like, I wish it would happen on the way to a trip as opposed to on the way back home. Because on the way back home, that's assuming that hopefully I had a good trip and I've recorded like 4 to 8 terabytes worth of amazing footage. And the thought of all of that getting destroyed in a plane crash is like, there's a word for this, I feel. Because I think sorrow is not deep enough for the kind of loss that I would feel at thinking that will never see the light of day. Way more than my own life. Just the thought of like, like even this trip, imagine I got all this footage from this trip and then like plane crashes, all of it gets lost in a fire or like in the water somewhere. God, like, man. Yeah, that to me is a bit more depressing of a thought than like actually dying, which is interesting maybe, but yeah. If you let go of camera, you would have been donezo. Yeah, to me, it's might as well. It's like, come on, can't let go of the camera. It's like Jeffrey Epstein dying in jail. I don't understand that reference, but I would appreciate, Kevin, going forward, if you can refrain from using any analogies with Jeffrey Epstein and talking about me, if you could just never utter anything about whatever life story I'm talking about and compare it to Jeffrey Epstein, I would very much appreciate that. But you do you. All that shit would have come out in trial. Yeah, we'll never see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. But genuinely, I have those thoughts whenever the plane's having turbulence. It's like, yo, just somehow let the memory card survive. You know, just let it survive, because it just, what a waste to not have this epic footage see the light of day. You know what I mean? Like these crazy chimp shots and everything. Whatever trips I'm on, it doesn't really matter. But like with this trip for sure, like I was really happy with the shots. So dun, 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 dun. This shot is a bit worthless because you don't see the camera really. I mean, there's a little Z at the moment there, but yeah, it's not worth it. Okay, tell me we got some sharp. Okay, there we go. We got that ZR in focus for a little bit. Christ. All right, we'll just keep the whole thing. Okay, let's see. What other BTS do we have? Yeah. So Enrico. Is it Enrico? Let me just remind myself. Enrico. Yes, Enrico. If you're still here, Enrico, here's an example of like what I mean by hand holding. So basically I'd be shooting like this. So yeah, generally speaking, like I'm always just hand holding whatever cameras I got. Same thing here, just filming. Okay, I think all of this should be usable. Now, one thing that's like very underrated. Oh yeah, Kevin, the funny thing is, since you're mentioning Epstein, I was also on an island, so maybe that's the other analogy. So it's like, you know, hey, he died on an island as well. But mine was a chimpanzee island, okay? But yeah, so one of the underrated things about photographing and filming chimpanzees, gorillas, whatever, like in the forest, the colors that you get when you're inside a forest is really, really good. Like, I'm a huge fan of like, yeah, this is an example of it, right? Where the person shot this. I haven't done any color grading. It's just literally swapping into the right color space. But you end up, most of the times when you're shooting in these kind of dense jungles, just because the sunlight can't pierce through, if you have the proper camera, if you can shoot in low light, you end up with like really nice colors, in my opinion, where it's like everything feels richer, everything feels denser. Like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but then like the greens just look much more, yeah, we'll go with richer. But I'm just a big fan, and you can't really replicate this except in these kind of jungle environments. So even though the trade-off is that you're in very low light situations, so you know you might be photographing with like 1,000, 2,000 ISO, but if you get lucky, if you get the right like positioning and stuff, you can end up getting these shots where the greens and everything just feels perfect. Like it's like the right shade of green and the right shade of lighting. Yeah, and you don't have to worry about overexposure usually. It's just like, can you lift the shadows enough? Yeah, so even a shot like this, right? Like clearly there's a lot of noise going on here, but as far as the colors look, yeah, to me this is awesome. I like this. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, so this one I need to keep. It shows me playing around with the touchscreen. Okay, you know what? We'll just highlight all these. Okay, moving on. Island boy just trying to make it. Yeah. I'm a desert man. Oh yeah, so this little bridge, this is how I got that shot of the overhead when the chimps were rushing through the tunnel. I basically just was above it, so that's how I got that shot. And then that's the long tunnel where I was sitting on the ground right there, just filming through there with like a 7200mm lens. So this is probably the kind of shot I was supposed to take. Yeah, okay. So, Kevin, you're asking what time are you streaming until? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm probably streaming for at least 2 more hours, I think. Let me see, 1 second. There's someone in town that I know, but they might, I might be able to catch up with them, but it might be too difficult. Let me see. Keep me posted if you end up being free and want to catch up. No pressure. I am live streaming all day. Okay. What time are you streaming to? Yeah, so let's call it like at least 2 more hours, as long as I feel productive. So, yeah, let's call it 2 more hours. But yeah, okay, so here's an example of how technically I believe I should have filmed. So, lesson learned, right? So technically, this is how I should have been filming, is my understanding. Now, this is without me knowing exactly what ISO I was using on this shot, because I think I was stress testing the camera quite a bit. So, like, I think the recommendations are always just use the base ISO of, like, in this case, it's 800 and then 6400. Although, I wanted to test some of the other ISOs just to see what the dynamic range and everything could look like. So in this case, I shot here where it's clearly much brighter, but then when you look at the waveform, it's a bit more neutral, or like this is much more in the middle of things. So technically, this is how I should be filming, is my understanding. Enjoy your lurk, Kevin. I'll still be here probably. We'll see. So I believe I should have been filming where, like, when I look at the view assist on the camera, it should have looked like this, as opposed to being more like this, right? So you can see here clearly much darker. And then when you look at the waveform at the on the screen here, it's very, very low, almost hitting like pitch black, right? It's close to that 0 line. So in reality, this is probably not the right thing I was supposed to be doing, is shooting it at this level. But this is where I was saying, like, you know, this is just some, you know, what do you call it? Part of the learning curve, part of just me not knowing any better. Also with the new camera, and I was always getting a little bit nervous at, like, if I kept shooting at this, I was just so nervous without knowing much about this camera. What if I shoot like this and then, like, for whatever reason, it is like overexposed and, you know, something was tricking me, whatever. Whereas, like, when I shoot like this, at least from the camera's display, it's showing me roughly looking like this. So I'm like, okay, I feel like it looks, I like the look, even if it ends up being slightly too dark. I feel like this is more like what I'll end up wanting to shoot. So let's just keep it here. And I was nervous, like, if I shoot with like a, you know, so it's more like this, then there's a lot more noise involved. I might be punching up to like a higher ISO, like the 6400, instead of shooting at 800. So then it was like, okay, if I have to choose shooting at 6400, but then having the waveform be more in the middle here, versus shooting at an ISO 800, but then having the waveform being close to the 0 point of the dark, I would end up just going with this. But I think this is technically what I should have done. And let's see. So let's imagine this is how I shot. It was a bit more on the more neutral, balanced exposure. And then if I drop the curves down, let's see how it looks. And yeah, so clearly it looks pretty good. And comparing to this one where it's already super dark, then the issue is I don't have much room to really drop the curves or anything. So let's just, obviously this is not like a exact science here, but I just want to kind of quickly see. So this is like, okay, that the concern that I had was definitely overblown or unnecessary. I should have, in hindsight, if I could do this all over again, I probably would have tried to always film at whatever the settings are to get the waveform to look more neutral, like in the middle point like this, or even being higher, like overexposed a little bit, as opposed to how I normally shoot, where it's like very, very low towards the blacks. Because yeah, even here, as I saw, like this is what it looked like, which is obviously clearly very, very bright, but it was just simply a matter of just dropping the curves or the dropping the highlights or adding a bit of contrast as well, and it looks good. So yeah. Kevin, you said we discussed this already. Well, I'm sure we have, and it's not just with you. Like this is something, even with photography, I know it's like generally speaking, you should be overexposing as opposed to underexposing, and I totally get that. And I generally kind of follow that rule. Although with the mirrorless cameras, I feel less inclined or less concerned about it, because yeah, like basically when I shoot, I see what you see what you get. I'm using the EVF usually, and it's like, okay, it looks good, and so I'm less concerned about it. With video, I tended to shoot in RAW. Like this is the first time I actually shot with the view assist on, with like the Rec 709. So in the past, I would always shoot where essentially when I'm shooting in real time, it would look like this. So I'd be filming in NRAW, NLOG, filming like this. And yeah, so anyways, now I'm learning more and more that instead of shooting like that, you should actually just shoot with the view assist, because you never know, like you might see things that you won't see unless you see it in the colors. But yeah, anyways, even knowing that technically I need to always overexpose as opposed to underexpose, in the moment when I see the shot looking good, and then being like, wait, do I really want to then, increase to the higher exposure or like the higher ISO, and then, drop it down in post? Like that was that fear that I had, where it's like, ooh, I don't know, like it looks good already, so it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, it looks okay, and this is close enough to what I imagine I want the final shot to look like. So even if the waveform is telling me it's really, really dark, I'm like, okay, but it looks good to me. And do I really want to then try it this way, where yeah, you see the exposure, it might even look more like in reality, I think it's supposed to look more like this, right? Because I think mostly it's like you should be slightly above whatever the neutral is. So it's like you're telling me on the camera I should be shooting where it looks like this, and I just have that fear where it's like, oof, I don't know. What if like it ends up being overexposed? What if this is all like blown out, and I now like 75% of my shots are unusable? Whereas if I just gone with the one where it's like, okay, you know what? If I can't play with it, at least it looks decent. I'll settle. But yeah, now I'm learning more to be just confident in the camera and just not trust myself, right? So Kevin, you said overexpose is almost a misnomer. You'd want to lean more, overexpose versus underexpose. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, like clearly this is an exaggeration. This is not a best example. But yeah, technically I think something like this is probably a proper example, where it's like, yeah, you should film roughly like this, where if you were checking out the waveform, it's basically in the middle. It's even this one, it's slightly leaning towards the, just ever so slightly lower than like below average, I guess, of the middle line. But yeah, I should be technically trying to shoot like this. But you know what? I don't know either. Like, let's say if I had two options, I can shoot, let's say this one was shot at 800 ISO. So we're using the base ISO of 800. And as I shot it, it's very low. It's like mostly in the blacks. But let's say it's close to what I actually want the footage to look like. So yes, it's pretty dark, but I would have ended up wanting it to be this color anyways, with just a little bit of like more contrast or stuff like that. So is it better to shoot like this at 800 ISO? Or is it better to shoot at, let's say this was shot at 6400 ISO, and then now the waveform looks much neutral, and there's nothing that's being clipped or like crushed in the blacks or the shadows or the highlights, and then trusting this footage in post to be able to drop the curves as much as you need to, and not caring about any noise, or the noise should not be visible, because you're trusting that base ISO figure and trusting your waveforms. So I believe the answer is the latter. I should trust the waveforms and not be so concerned about using like an ISO 6400. But I don't know. Where's Photo Elite at? He probably has the textbook answer. Yeah. Man, that guy is like a wealth of knowledge. He like knows everything. Although I'm sure maybe he's secretly using ChatGPT every time. But yeah, I wish he was here right now because yeah, I have no doubts he would actually give me the proper answer. But yeah, listen, this is all part of the learning process, right? So to me, I'm glad that I have this question unanswered because then it shows me I will get the answer eventually. And if I didn't know this concept, I'm sure other people who are aspiring filmmakers who are trying to get into this, it's probably something they're not aware of as well. So as much as I can digest that myself, and then if I can convert that into layman's terms, let's say, and if that's something I can share in my YouTube channel or through the live streams, then perfect. We're continuing the cycle of knowledge sharing. So, but at the very least, looking at the shot, I do realize my fear was overblown because, yeah, I was able to drop it down pretty decently, and the colors look nice. There's, yeah, there's really no issues. It's a bit of noise in the background, but that's nothing that I can't fix, right? We can put a bit of noise reduction if needed. Okay, looks good. Hey, Photo Elite, you say his name 3 times, and apparently he shows up. Photo Elite, I come in and hear my name. We have summoned you. That's hilarious. Welcome, Photo Elite. Welcome to day 52, and thanks for being here. Although I think we forced you here with the whole summoning, but glad to have you here. We are just kind of going through more of the footages from the trip, the Chimp Island trip. And so nothing's different from the last few days. I am working through. We made a bit more progress though, so I have more of the script completed for the product review. But yeah, I was having a good chat with Kevin just now, and just in general, I was talking about like a thing that from the research I did prior to this project, as I was trying to consume as much information about like filmmaking, film techniques, shooting with like the Sony FX3 because that was like the equivalent of what I could find preparing for this shooting with this cinema camera. There's a lot of things that I consumed, but I wasn't really trusting, or I didn't have enough field practice to like know for a fact. You said a summoning is not entirely out of the realm of possibility. We did talk earlier about manifesting, so maybe we manifested you into being. Maybe this is all a dream. So yeah, the thing I was talking about just now is the concept that I understand in theory. Everything that I was reading up and watching YouTube videos on, it's like saying, look at your waveform or your histogram. I know this is also the case for photography, but I was saying to Kevin earlier, like I just don't care as much with photography because like with the mirrorless cameras, generally speaking, I see the shot, you see what you get and I just go with it. Whereas with video, I'm just not as, experienced. And also with the concept of like, oftentimes I would shoot in N-Log where I didn't have anything activated. So I would just be seeing this on the screen. So then sometimes all you can do is trust the histogram. This is the first time I ever shot with the view assist where I had like a Rec 709 profile set up as like the LUT. But anyways, so everything I read, and Kevin, you said once I mentioned him, he became part of both of our realities. Yeah. Well, who's the primary reality? Are we living in Kevin's world, or is it my world, or is this actually Photo Elite's world? And he's just like hopping in now. I don't know. Anyways, so everything I understand is that when you're filming, you should be looking at your waveforms, or if you have that false color, IRE or whatever it's called. But my camera didn't have that. But at the very least, it seems like waveform is a popular tool to use in the moment when you're shooting. And so you should be looking at your waveforms, and essentially similar to like how you do with the histograms, you should be looking at either having a neutral balance or like slightly overexposed as opposed to underexposed, with the concept being that it tends to be much easier to rescue details in the highlights as opposed to in the shadows. So it's like if you overexpose and you drop it down in post, you should be able to recover a lot more, as opposed to if you shot very, very underexposed and try to lift the shadows, oftentimes you'll introduce a lot more artifacts or noise into your shots. So I get that as a principle. However, what I was mentioning in this project, I definitely was not doing it in practice. So the way I was filming, and the example I was giving here, is that with the view assist, essentially this is what it looks like in the shot, where it's telling me the waveform is roughly in balance. Technically, you know, maybe it's more like this, right? So this is like my understanding of like, hey, when you're shooting, you should be shooting something like this. Your waveform should look something like this in the middle / upper part of the spectrum. But then that means when I'm actually filming out in the field, my view assist or whatever most likely is showing me something like this, where it's clearly overexposed. And so I just didn't have enough experience, or I didn't trust myself or the camera or the learnings enough to say like, oh, that's okay. Like I should just shoot it like this, trust in the waveform and be fine. So then oftentimes when I was given the choice of either shooting, let's say this was shot at 6400 base ISO and I'm getting this nice waveform, versus if I had the exact same shot but at 800 ISO, but now the waveform is pretty dark, so you can clearly see like it's pretty close to pitch black, but maybe not exactly pitch black, but it's very much hovering close to it, so you got to be careful. So in my world, I ended up just mostly filming in this with this waveform in mind. So I believe I'm doing the wrong thing technically, but I was just kind of trusting at the very least, like the view assist is telling me this is what it looks like. This is pretty close to what I kind of want the final product to look like anyways. So let's just go with this. And my assumption being like, hey, it's an 800 ISO, so maybe it means it's the better quality. And I've never shot with this dual ISO at 6400. I have no idea what that really means. So if I have to choose between a 6400 ISO where it looks like this, and my fear is that maybe it's overexposed, versus if I just shoot it at this when it's super low, but it's close to what I'll end up wanting to, you know, have it look like, I ended up shooting it like this. But I believe going forward, I should just get over myself essentially, and just be like, that's fine to have something look like this, because now at least I can see once I have it in post, I am able to bring it back down to something else, and it looks like everything looks pretty good. So, oh, Maple Glades is here as well. Hello, Maple. Yo, people are here. Get your tinfoil hats out, people. Yes. Maple says, drop in a quick lurk. Cool to see you got to play with the ZR, sorry. Excuse me. My American is showing. Been working, so haven't had time to be in stream as much. Yeah, man, I know I briefly, I don't know if you're still here, but I know you were coming back from like a big project, right? Just as I took 2 weeks off for this project, I know you were coming back from, I think it was like a month or something of some really cool project. So I can imagine you're probably busy putting it all together. So let us know if you're able to share whatever that project is, if it's public. But good to see you on here, man. It's been a while. I've been gone for the past 2 weeks, but we've been back for the past few days. I was on this project. So yes, I was saying I was very fortunate to be invited to test out the ZR. And the reason being, I think they want to promote this to people like me, aspiring filmmakers with not that much knowledge in like the film space. You know, we're not like technically sound, but people who want to get into the space without, you know, but maybe feeling intimidated or overwhelmed by all the accessories and all the things you need to shoot something that's very professional cinema looking. So I think that's probably why they reached out to me. And I do really love this camera, just as an FYI. It did allow me to create my 5-minute video, which I'll put a link in the chat, !promo. The entire video is 5 minutes. I made this with the ZR, and I'm really proud of it. It took me 5 days of editing, roughly, and it was from like 3 days of shooting, so everything was done quickly. It was my first time doing a documentary, first time playing with this red codec or any of this, but it really made me feel professional. And that's all I care about. This camera made me feel like I was LARPing. I could actually trick people. I can trick people into thinking I'm a professional filmmaker. In my world, that's what I thought. So I really like the camera. I'm going to make a product review about it. That's what we're working on right now. Fody said, this is 100% a Maple question. I know a bit of video, but my expertise is in photography. Maple says, yeah, you want to center your waveform. The 6400 was the right option. Well, yeah, I wish I knew that. I'm gonna be honest. Mostly, I shot at the 800 ISO, and I sacrificed. Even if it looked super dark, I ended up saying like, "F it." I just didn't know enough to say that 64 is the one I should use. But yeah, hey, we're here to learn, and I am really happy. Like the quality, the footage looks excellent. Like I'm really happy with it. But there were definitely choices I made at the time where I probably should have just gone with the overexposed look, and then trust in the camera and the waveform. But instead, I mostly shot like this, where it's like super, super dark. Yeah, thankfully it turned out okay. And that is one of the benefits of this camera. It's got, I think they advertise about 15 plus stops of dynamic range. I know like that figure, it can be somewhat meaningless. I think, I'm not sure, like maybe there's some proper tests. But at the very least, I personally saw a difference. Like when I was filming, compared to when I normally shoot with my Z6 III or the Z9, I rarely ran into a situation where I was overexposed or underexposed to the point of like having crushed, like shadows or like, like clipping the highlights. So I noticed a difference, and that's all I can stand by. Hello, Chuck at PTO. Shit, I don't know how to say your name. Thank you very much for the follow. I hope you are also not a spam bot on the Kick side. We did have someone follow from Kick earlier who is a real person. Thank you very much, Stanley, for the follow. And I hope, Chuck, you are also a real person. We never know with Kick, okay? I love you guys on Kick, but we get a lot of spam on there. Hey, what's up, Ivy EXP? It's been a while. The ZR looks really nice. Yes, huge fan of the ZR. Chuck says he's real. All right, well, prove it, okay? I'm not going to trust you just yet. Because some of those spammers are really tricky. They'll hold a conversation with you. You'll be chatting with them. It's like you learn about their family life, their history, and then they eventually throw out the... By the way, I've got this Discord you can join. It's a good way to gain followers quickly. So if you want to check it out. And it's like, God damn it, you got me. But Chuck, I hope you're real. But yes, welcome, Ivy. It's been a while. And the ZR is really nice. I just put something in the chat. If you'd like to check out the 5-minute short documentary that I made, everything was shot with the Nikon ZR. Yeah, check out my YouTube channel. It's only 5 minutes. If you do watch it, I hope you'll give it a like and a comment and all that, because obviously it helps with the channel. But yeah, we're going to go through some of the footages from the ZR and just like kind of show off the quality, give some honest opinions and thoughts and learn from each other. So Maple is sharing his knowledge as well. Let's see. So Maple said, bringing back those shadows at 800 is going to be noisier. I expose to the left a little bit on the histogram if I don't have a monitor, but if I have a monitor, I will want that middle gray. The middle gray. Oh wait, where's the voice?
Good morning, beautiful people.
Hey, what's up, BC? Good to see you on here, man. You guys are all lively at this time. I forgot what hours to stream or everything, so it's good to see you guys here. It's been a while. We're learning today. We got Maple in the chat, so he's gracing us. I know you're supposed to be lurking, so thank you for responding with this. So he said, you expose to the left. If I don't have a monitor, if you have a monitor, you'll want that middle gray in the mid-range. I believe that's when you're referencing that false color, whatever it's called. Yeah, because I don't have a false color in this camera, but I kept reading all the professionals use like the false color IRE or something to really determine if something is overexposed or not. I want the middle gray in the mid-range for sure to allow to pull down the shadows versus boosting them. Just don't clip your highlights. Gotcha. Yeah, and you know what? I just have to trust the camera. That's basically what I'm discovering here. Because now that I'm seeing these shots, even the ones that I did like test having a very, very overexposure, it turned out really good. And I don't believe, even this one, let's see. Because you can see a little bit of that sky behind. And is it overexposed? I'm not sure. Let's see. No, it looks good. It might be, I don't know. But as far as I can tell, it seems like it's decent, or feels decent. It might be slightly, I can't tell. But it's close to the top end there. But let's see. Yeah, maybe I overexposed a little bit there. But yeah, thank you, Mabel. Sometimes the view assist can get in the way, honestly, if you think you overexpose and then film at 800. You can pin messages, by the way. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, Maple, someone else taught me how to pin message. I forgot. It's not in my like muscle memory yet. Just type pin and then the link and it'll sit at the top. Okay, so what I'll do, Shit, where is it? Visit. No, I don't want that. Let me do it one more time. Promo. And then let me pin this chat. Thank you very much for reminding me. I need to like keep this in my lexicon. Unpin after manually unpinned. Okay, cool. Hopefully that worked. Thank you guys. There you go. Awesome. Oh but yeah, hello BC, and thank you Ivy for being here, and thank you Chuck for being real, or at least saying you are. I'll take your word for it. And good morning to you, BC. Oh man, BC, I was watching a video on Instagram recently of like some really cool aviation fighter jet shots, and I was saying like, yo, how did they get the footage? Like, they must have had someone in a accompanying jet like tracking the shot, and I was like, yo, I would love to do that. That's so crazy. Anyways, Maple is a legend. I love that man. Stop, he says. Yeah, listen to him. Stop doing that. Mr. Tap, Troy Anthony, drop in and say hi. Nice work on that trailer, by the way. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're in the mode where we're trying everything to promote that video. So I published the trailer, so then obviously that's going to link to the video, and then I'm going to make an Instagram reel hopefully tonight. We might even do it on the stream, or I'll do it for tomorrow. We're going to make a reel. We have some of these like vertical shots, so any number of this I think I should be able to turn into a nice little a reel if I have some good shots. I don't know, I have to check through everything. Oh, hello. Here's my cat. My cat says hello. Cat is dropping in to say hi. Maple, you said the shot is perfectly exposed as the highlights are not flat clipped. Oh, thank you. Okay. I couldn't tell because I thought maybe it might have clipped at the a little bit, but okay. I'll take your word for that. That's what I do. All right. Nala says hello. Kimbap is also chilling behind. We're ready. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of this red codec. So this is the first time I was working in the red file. Now it's a new file. It's a 12-bit R3D Nikon edition. So it's R3D-NE, and I believe it's like a, what did I say? It's like a log 3G10 for the gamma, and red wide gamut RGB or something like that for the color space. And this is, again, I was using a pre-production unit, and this is not actually the exact, it's not exact of what you should expect when the camera actually launches, because in order to play with this in DaVinci, because obviously the camera's not out yet, so I had to do some conversions. They gave me some like software to do like a quick conversion, but it's not like proper, right? So I believe the good news is that the color should be even better, is my assumption, but I could be completely talking out of my ass. But yeah. I'm a big fan of the colors, and again, I did really feel the dynamic range difference. It was such a difference that I'm like curious, what is it like shooting with one of those Komodos or like those $5,000 cameras and stuff? Because I was shooting, this is being priced at $2,200. They advertised as 15 plus stops of dynamic range when you're shooting in RAW in like certain modes, and I noticed a big difference compared to shooting with my Z9 Z6 III, and I'm like, yo, like, does that mean like people who shoot with those like the heavy duty cameras, do they never have to worry about like overexposures and stuff? And I'm like, so like, yo, give me one of those cameras now. Troy, you said, what's your Insta? I'll follow. Assume Yobo Price. Yes. And if you ever want to know, you just type in ! I'm assuming ! Instagram. That must be it, right? Okay, it is. But yes, feel free to follow me on all of my socials. YouTube is my number one for sure. We want to continue growing that as much as possible. Twitch is probably my number two now, because now we do want to continue being a live streamer and do it consistently. Instagram is where I started. I will be honest with you though, Instagram, I kind of knowingly took a hit to it for the past year and a half. When I kind of went down this angle of doing full-time stuff, I decided, it's okay to take a hit to Instagram, and I haven't like posted as consistently as I should in the past couple years, as I spent most of my time traveling and then focusing on YouTube. But we're trying to get back into the groove of like posting on everything and all that fun stuff. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for following me there. And let's also gamble. We're going to take BC's lead here. Let's do ! Gamble. I don't know how many points I have. Also, I'm hearing a little bit of Am I blowing out the speakers real quick? Let me turn off the music. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. I thought I was hearing a little bit of weird, like the little scratchy crackling sound. It could have been my headphones though. Testing, testing. Okay, seems okay now. All right. False alarm. Troy, you said Instagram algo is hard for photographers. Going to be hard to take my lead, says BC. Yeah, listen, I believe you're going to end up being the top PP for the month. So good on you. Good on you. Did I win? Oh, no, I lost. Okay. Yeah, Instagram algo is hard for photographers. Yeah, and the thing is, though, and I've learned this as well. Thankfully, after COVID, I started going in the direction of video. So I was one of those photographers that thankfully made the switch to video at the right time. I think there's a lot of people in my industry at the time, or like just even, you know, where I live in the region and stuff like that. There's a lot of photographers. I remember during lockdown when TikTok was blowing up, there were so many photographers. I don't blame them, but there's a lot of photographers who would like even do these posts where they're saying like, I miss the old Instagram, and like, you know, Instagram is now shifting more towards video and I don't like it. They're like doing all these changes, and what's happened to the old thing. I think even like Peter McKinnon and stuff like that, like a bunch of people mentioned it, and it's true. Like there's less focus on photography. However, for me, I had made a realization early on that photography is not actually my main passion. I'm passionate about it, but I'm more passionate about traveling more than I am about photography. And I'm more passionate about storytelling more than like traveling or photography. So then I realized that photography is just one medium for me to like capture good stories when I travel. So then I saw no reason why I shouldn't learn how to do video as well. My camera has a video mode. Why not learn? And then during lockdowns when we couldn't travel anymore, I ended up getting super into tattoos. And so I tattooed like all over my body. So then I would bring my camera and I would film and photograph like the before and afters. And so I started testing with doing like Instagram reels, showing before and afters of like tattoos. And that was really fun. I learned on CapCut. And then thankfully, when lockdowns ended and I could travel again, I started getting into wildlife photography. And I made that switch where I started like just doing a lot of vertical videos. And then some of those videos popped off. And then it turned into like, it turns out I have I had a knack for... maybe knack's the wrong word, but I enjoyed making short form reels, and I put a lot of thought into it in terms of like figuring out the right soundtrack and the right moments and like making things feel very like, you know, impactful. And so a lot of people ended up enjoying it. And so I kind of made I say a name for myself, but it, you know, it's not, I'm not a big content creator, but it was big enough that like Nikon started you know, working with me more, because I was one of the few photographers that actually ended up wanting to learn videography when all these others were resistant to it. So then I had a little bit of a leg up in that I actually was getting more familiar with video as a photographer. And so, yeah, and then here we are. I took it more steps beyond where I decided, let me try to do long form. Let's try YouTube. And then that turned into more opportunities. And then even that turned into Nikon reaching out to me to say, do you want to test out this cinema camera? And now here we are trying to be more professional and do like film, like straight up, like actually not do a travel diary, do like a concept from start to finish. So it's always cool to think like all these minor decisions can lead to obviously the end result. So I'm very, very grateful that, yeah, things turned out the way it did. But yeah, it all started from just being open-minded and not being so resistant to like change. So yeah. Anyways, there's my weird diatribe. No one asked for it, but you're welcome, guys. That was my TED Talk. Okay, but anyways, I was saying that I need to review some of these and see if I can turn this into a nice Instagram reel somewhere. We do have a lot of cool footages, not just the vertical ones that I need to look through. And then I was thinking for an Instagram reel, I might try to do one that's, because I haven't watched Instagram in a long time, but this morning I was like just watching a bunch of reels to kind of remind myself like what are the trends, what's going on, like what soundtracks, what's going, what's popping off. And one of the trends that I'm seeing is something called the wiggle effect, where you basically take a bunch of shots and you line it up with, you know, there's like specific music, obviously, but you find a music where there's like a moment where you can kind of like time it properly. I'm not unfortunately able to show it on screen because I'm going to get copyright struck. But you would take a moment like this, let's say, and then you just keep like, you know, going reversing back and forth to its key moments. And then you just keep doing it for a number of key shots. But obviously this is not the best example of the right shot, but maybe we can find one. But anyway, basically you do these like wiggle effects, right? Where you just go back and forth, and then you do it in a very cinematic way. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can try that with this, because we do have a lot of crazy cool footage. The question is, can I find the right moment? And it's gonna be a lot of time to view all of my video clips just for like a few frames here and there. So it might not be worth the effort versus just taking some of the footage I already know works and then, you know, anyways. So there's something called the wiggle effect. And I was like, ooh, okay, we can try that. Troy, you said, that's awesome, man. Yep, you put the work in, the dominoes will fall your way. Yes, I'm a big fan. I know, Kevin, we were talking about this as well. But yeah, it's not necessarily manifesting, but it's just like be open-minded to opportunities and less resistant. It's like just, even with AI, I know AI can be quite controversial. I have a number of close friends who are very artistic, and they have quite the negative point of view on AI. And I can completely understand a lot of where they're coming from. For me personally, it's just one of those where it's like, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop this trend. So I'd rather jump on board and see how I can use it to my advantage, as opposed to resisting it all the way through and then letting, you know, everyone else lap me in terms of whatever, right? Creative processes, opportunities, all that. Kevin, you said nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. Yo, I saw that trend. I have no idea what it's about, but I saw one about like, there's like a lady who's like, when you're trying to do something, but then your Filipino accent pops through, and she was doing the Jet 2 holiday as the thing. Troy, you said, I love landscape photography though. I make shorts just for the algorithm. I spend most of the time in the field or in Lightroom. Yeah. I started with landscape for a while, and it's so much fun. I was getting sucked into it, but then eventually I switched over to other things. But I can totally see what you're saying. Like, you would end up spending so much time in Lightroom with all your landscape shots and everything. Yo, Cyronius, what's up? Man, it's been a while. It's been quite a while, I think. Welcome, Cyronius. We're on day 52. Where did we end? We ended 46. I think it was day 46. So day 46 was the very last day of our streak, where we went 46 days in a row without missing a beat, where we streamed roughly, 7 to 8 hours every day. I was quite proud of myself for that. And unfortunately, we had to take a break before we could hit the beautiful day 50. So sad. But it was not for bad reasons, because as you're probably aware of now, because I keep talking about it every day since I've been back, I was away for a couple weeks to work on this project, which was shooting with the new Nikon ZR. And very, very grateful I got the opportunity. And so yeah, I went to Uganda, I pitched this project, and I actually pitched doing a documentary. So I'm glad that they trusted me enough to do this, because I've never done a documentary before. And I think it turned out quite nicely. I'm really proud of the final results. But yeah, it was something shot within 3 days of filming, and then I spent less than a week to actually put it all together. So thankfully I work well under pressure. So we were able to get it done. And yeah, right now I'm just kind of going through the behind the scenes, but I'm also working on a product review. So I'm kind of reviewing some of these shots to see if some of these kind of click with, like, okay, I should be showing this as the behind the scenes when I talk about one of the features of the camera, stuff like that. But yes, welcome, Cyronius. Hopefully you've been well. It's been quite some time. Ivy is also saying hello with the nice little emoji there. Or emote. My God, I forgot that word, emote. That's how long I've been gone. Cyronius says, I can't be in every stream. That's pretty intense, to be honest. Yeah. Shame on you. That's how neurodivergence presents itself. Nice. Ooh, that's a cool shot. Or it's very crisp. Oh, maybe this could be a nice wiggle. Let's see. So if we do that Instagram Reel concept, can I do a wiggle with this? Maybe. It's a little too jerky over there. Let's see if there's another moment. Yeah, this could be a nice wiggle. Do. Okay, I'm having... It's a little autistic how I'm doing this. Okay. We'll take care of this either off stream or once I have a better idea. But yes, I need to start making some Instagram Reels so that... And technically YouTube Shorts as well. so then I can promote the documentary. So for selfish reasons, I need to create some content soon. Unfortunately, I was blurred the entire time here. Oh yeah, you know what? This is not the camera's fault. This is my fault because I think I swapped lenses here to the 20 mil, or no, I think it was back to 35. But the problem is I accidentally clicked the manual. I think I switched it to manual focus, and then I had to adjust it. But yeah, so as we're learning, hey, what's up, Low Bass? Yo, everyone's popping in today. Thank you for being here, guys. Cyrone says, how dare you? Low Bass, how is you? I, as always, is good. Thank you for asking. We're having a lovely day on day 52 of our live stream journey and career, let's say. But thank you guys for being here. It's been what time did we start? I think we started a little bit earlier today, or like around 4:30. I am still trying to hold on to like not streaming for too long. So most likely we'll end the stream in maybe like an hour, hour and a half. I don't know. As long as I am being productive, so that's a good thing. But we have so much other stuff that we have to get through, unfortunately, in terms of like work-related stuff. But you know what? Let's focus on some potential Instagram reels. Let's look at some of these vertical shots. So to help with that, I need a timeline in vertical mode. So let's... I think I created one earlier. Projects for social. Yeah, this one. Oh, I didn't create one. Let's create one now. What should we call this? We'll call this 4K. Probably 4K 24p. Vertical. Yeah, but Low Bass, how are you doing? I know you've been here before, but hopefully you're doing well. Are you at work right now? Today is a Monday, I believe. So oh, and then Low Bass, I was gonna ask you about that bot. I keep forgetting because I lost the link that you sent me earlier because I wanted to try out the bot that you set up, because we are subscribed to you, and so hopefully that means we have access to that cool thing. Kevin, he said, have you guys heard about that new the new Nikon ZR? ZR? No, tell us more. And I believe you can see more. There's this link that I saw popping through the chat that is a film that's made entirely with that Nikon ZR. You guys should check it out. Low Bass, you said, I've been continuing to explore my Google AI subscription. As a fun experiment, I uploaded all my camera manuals to Notebook LM, and now I can just ask the Notebook questions like, how do I do X on my R6 Mark II? And it just tells me step by step. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? I did something similar to that. What I was doing is I was watching a bunch of reviews about the Nikon ZR, and then I took all the transcripts from those videos, and then I put it through ChatGPT and asked for it to like consume all the transcripts, so then hopefully it has a good digest. And then I took screenshots, not manuals, but I took screenshots from Nikon's website about the ZR. So then I was hoping then it would become like a source of knowledge and feedback and like opinions all collected in one that can serve as a baseline. The only thing that remains is for you to join the Twitch team. How do I join the Twitch team, Low Bass? Let me know. Low Bass, you said, I also uploaded all my mom's medicines. Interesting. Rehab stuff, etc. into Notebook, and she can just ask questions about what she can and can't do. It can give her medicine schedules, exercise schedules, etc. Okay. Well, hopefully your mom's okay. Or is this like, are you saying, what's the, actually that's personal information, but it's good to know that it's very useful for personal stuff too. Nice. Yeah, I guess maybe I should, I need to take blood tests and then give it to ChatGPT and see if it can actually help me with that. I need to go to the doctor more often, especially now with my new, the fact that I never see sunlight. She just had back-to-back strokes. Oh, yikes. Yo, that's, well, obviously that's terrible. Hopefully she's recovering at the very least, or hopefully she's stable. I'm not too familiar with that in general, but obviously, yeah, man, hopefully she's doing well. I see. So then you have to, she's in rehab. Okay, so at the very least, hopefully she's rehabbing effectively. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. Thuriel B. Hi from France. Hello, hello. Oh, wait, you're not... I think there was someone else from France recently. So, hello. We are finding people from all over the world. We had some people from Italy earlier and Germany, I think. So, we're collecting the Europe audience as well. Thank you for being here, Thuriel. I think... Is this your first time in the chat? I'm trying to remember if I saw your name before. If you are new, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for saying hello. We are doing a lot of editing. So right now we're focusing on a project. I was in Uganda for a few days shooting with the new Nikon ZR. So I'm shamelessly plugging it as much as possible because I'm very fortunate to have access to that camera at the time. And so in my upcoming streams, we are just kind of going through a bunch of the footages and I'm trying to create some more content from it so that I can post. But yeah, that's the main gist of what I'm doing on the streams usually right now. And then answering any questions about it. It's the first time? Well, thank you very much, Thuriel, for being here. Are you a photographer or videographer? Let us know. Low Bass, you said, oh, hello, Lola Valkyrie. Lola Valkyrie. Thank you very much for the follow on the Twitch side. Hells yeah, we're slowly building up that Twitch following, okay? You're a photographer too. Nice. Yes, we are all, there's a bunch of really very impressive photographers and videographers in this community. So thank you for being here. Oh, if you'd like to join that community, here's my Discord. We're looking to collect all of you fine photographers and videographers. You can share your content, share some photos, we can review them or videos, and then also you'll know whenever I go live. So selfishly, that's a good reason to join. But yeah, we're looking to build up that community. So thank you very much for the follow. Low Bass, you said, yeah, they expect her to get out of the hospital on Wednesday. Okay, so very soon. Okay, I've been installing all her home accessibility stuff. ChatGPT and Jim and I have been a big help with that. Is Jim, either way, okay, so you're getting some, yeah, AI is so insane, like the ways that you can apply it to like your day-to-day. So I'm glad to hear that it's helping you in like very, very important stuff, so. But you're a photographer too. Did you say what kind of photography you do? Let me see. Colorist mainly. Oh, Thuriel. You were a colorist mainly and video editor and video maker. Yo, that's great because I am very much an aspiring filmmaker and I don't know a lot. If there's one thing that will be clear very soon as I talk, my knowledge base is zero. However, we're here to learn, okay? And so even now, I was just chatting with Maple Glades, who was on here earlier. He is also very, I think, is he a director of photography? I'm not sure. But he's very knowledgeable, and so he was telling me a little bit more about, like, when I was filming this, I should have technically shot at a little bit higher exposure, but I was so nervous that I kept mostly shooting at 800 ISO, or I was shooting in this very underexposed manner, when I should have just trusted the camera and the waveform, and even shot at the higher base ISO of 6400, and then drop it down in post or with the ND filter. But anyways, we're learning. So I'm here to just share a little bit of the shots that I took with the ZR. Amazing, beautiful camera, by the way, for an aspiring filmmaker like myself. Lola, I'm gonna call you Lola. Lola, you said I joined yesterday. Oh, thank you. Oh, on the Discord. Nice. Well, thank you very much for joining. I apologize. I'm trying to be more attentive to everything, but I'm a bit stretched thin right now. You're a music photographer, joined from the Discord group. Hells yeah. I saw some really cool, was it Instagram Reels of like music photographers and like videographers. And I was like, yo, that is a cool space to be in if you can like be in concerts, because there's nothing cooler in terms of like these cool low light, colorful, cinematic, creative looking shots than being like in a concert vibe. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would love to see some of your photos. Feel free to share them in the Discord. Gemini, says Low Bass. Oh, yeah, Gemini is Google's... Oh, you call him Jim. I see. As a standalone AI, it's not as good as ChatGPT, but what makes it excel is the Google Services integration. Gotcha, yeah. Okay. Lola, you said, I want to learn video, so it's great to have found this community. Hells yes. All right, we're going to learn together. Yo, you gambled all of it away? Kevin, you think you're BC over here? None of us can replicate BC's level of luck, but you know what, I'm gonna do the same. Let me do gamble all. Yeah, it is liberating just to try. Oh shit, there goes all of mine. All right, okay, let's keep working as we do this. So yeah, welcome new people to the stream. I hope you guys enjoy. And by the way, If you find me boring, that's totally fine. That's probably natural. But keep in mind, I may be boring, but hopefully having this cat over here can make a good reason for why you should stay on the stream. Oh, sorry, Nala. She just like gave me a light bite. This is Nala. Sorry, girl. I'm disturbing her. And we got a little cat camera for her. And usually Kimbap, the other cat, is the one that's usually chilling here. But it looks like she's kicked him out. So, you know, it is what it is. There you go. All right. Anyways, we'll go back to our normal stream here. What's this gamble thing? This gamble thing is the channel points, both on Twitch and then using Streamlabs. We collect points. Now, the point system, we've named it Prize Pixels because my username is Yobel Prize. My name is Yobel. You can find me everywhere on Yobel Prize. So we've named our channel points. And you earn points by everything from subscribing, donating, gifting subs, just being on stream, like view, like the watch time, all that kind of stuff. So you collect these points and you're collecting prize pixels. So for short, we call them PPs. So while you're on the stream, you are actually growing your PPs. How cool is that, right? Doesn't matter who you are. We don't care. We're here to give you some PPs. And the more time you spend here, the more PPs you have. And really, who doesn't want to have more than less PP? And so then we just have fun with it. There's different ways you can gamble with it. Although I personally keep forgetting all the ways to gamble. Let me see. Let me do ! commands. And yes, BC, having PP isn't boring. And if you happen to have the most PP in a certain time frame, I even showcase you on the stream. So right now, for instance, BC, he's got a little ticker on the bottom left where it shows you that he's the biggest PP of the week. So good on you, mate. Before it was Lucky IRL. Although he lost all of his PP, so you know that can also happen. You can lose it all. What are the commands though? Let me remind myself. Games. Oh yeah, if you do ! games, I think it'll tell you all the things you can do, or you can just see whatever BC's doing because he tends to be the one that earns the most. So good on you. But you also get PPs for different things. You can get PPs for being the first person to type in the chat. So when I turn on the stream, if you're the first one to type in the chat, boom, you get PPs. If you're the first one to tell me when I'm not sharing my screen, so imagine I'm in this mode and I'm talking about like, okay, here I am. So what do you guys think about this edit? And if I just change the colors on this thing, what do you think, guys? And clearly I'm on the wrong screen here. If you put in the chat one of my emotes, which is Yobel P all caps hey dummy, this notifies to me that I need to change my screen. So there are different things you can do. And then if you're the first one to do it, then I will reward you 300 PPs for, helping me out. Yobel Peace Prize Pixels. Yeah, the triple P. Yeah, we'll get there at some point. Listen, we have fun with it, okay? Anyways, oh yeah, and you know what? I need to create some new badges. I believe now I'm closing in on actually technically it might even count already as 2 months of me being a streamer. Sure. Although, you know what?
PPs are a human construct.
There might be truth in that, but then if that is true, we have other animals have PPs too. So are you saying we're imagining PPs for other animals as well? That's weird. That's weird, man. Okay, let's go back to the editing screen though. Okay, where were we before we went down this line of conversation, which, you know, I'm not proud of it, okay? I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed either. Okay, let's put in here. I'm just going to create a timeline for my vertical shots. And I believe I should be able to put it in the 3984. Whoops, 3984 by 2240. We're going to use vertical resolution. We'll put this in 23.976. Let's put this in 4K. Okay, and 10-bit. Cool. All right, so now we have a timeline that I can use. As we find some shots, we can drag it in there for like potential footages.
Did you know your nipples are the same color as your lips?
I'm learning something new every day. So thank you very much, Kevin, for saying that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll figure that out off stream. But thank you. My goal in life is every day feeling like my brain has expanded a little bit, that I've consumed new knowledge I didn't know the day before. So you've filled that quota for today. Thank you. All right, where was I? I need to find the timeline for the raw. Oh yeah, okay. So let me copy this one over. And let's just color code it so I'll remind myself I've taken care of this one already. Let's do chocolate. Okay, let's drag this in. And then we gotta freaking reverse it, really? Okay, fine. And how much can we zoom out? To 0.57. Let's check out this shot. So again, this is handheld with the 7.5 stops of in-body image stabilization, which I find to be really workable. Like it as someone who always does hand-holding shots, I never have problems with any of the Nikon cameras I've used, and in this case, it's been pretty good. Like clearly shaky because I'm walking backwards and I'm like hand-holding and all that, but you can see even in the first part of my documentary film, that was all shot handheld, and we had minimal crop when we did the DaVinci's stabilization. So I think the same thing should apply with this one. So even here, right? So clearly I was shooting for the chimp, but then at some point I'm shooting directly against the sun, and I'm assuming that must be overexposed, maybe, but it doesn't look too bad. Even with it being probably overexposed, I'm not like completely thrown off by that. Maybe we can work with it though. We don't shame here, says Low Base. Yes, 100%. That chimp doesn't have a PP? Yes, probably because this chimp is a female. But her name is Billy, so everything's confusing with this chimp. This is the chimp that is missing a thumb. So Dr. Rakundo, who's right there, this is the chimp that he worked on when he first started working at the island. Like I think he said 16 years ago. He's got a really close bond with this chimp because he performed surgery on her. He had to amputate her thumb, and then he had to like rehabilitate her, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. So she's like super, super protective of him and like gentle around him. It's really cool. Really cool stuff. Low Base, you said you have to put it down, then flip it, then you can reverse it. There's an order to things and you can't skip steps. Yes. You got to put the thing down, flip it, and then you can reverse it. Yes. Rotate it, flip it, reverse it, all of that. Zoom out. Okay, what was I going to do with this shot though? Oh yeah, and then Maple taught us that we can do stabilization from the color panel, which apparently is better. I didn't know that, but so let's say if we go here, let's click on the stabilization, translation, and maybe just do a bit more smooth. Let's stabilize. Oh my goodness. 3, 2, and 1. Boom. Okay, so that was barely any crop, which I'm happy with. Like, but let's see if it's actually smooth. So yeah, maybe I spoke too soon. Let's see. Oh, and then you know what? Let's slow it down. So now this is shot in 60 frames. Let's drop this to 40% of its original speed. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, there's a little wobble there. But otherwise, so far, a lot of moments here that's nice and smooth. Little wobble there. Perfect. So yeah, this is at the very least, you guys are seeing an example in real time, right? Where we're taking handheld footage and then seeing what it looks like in real time. And then once we apply a bit of stabilization, I just put in like a medium amount and then slowed it down. How usable is the shot? And to me, I feel like almost all of it was usable. There's a few moments where I see a wobble where like maybe I can have adjusted just by changing up some of the strengths of the stabilization, but it's like fairly imperceptible. It's acceptable at the very least. And I'm getting these like nice moments here. looking at the camera. Nice. I didn't shoot a lot in vertical because my goal was obviously focusing on shooting the documentary, but occasionally I did. So I just want to like start collecting all of these. Let's color code them all to the chocolate. And same thing. I just gotta rotate these guys. We'll just take it one at a time. There's no rush. Oh, it's kind of cool. He was saying that the baby chimp, this was the first time that this chimp was actually comfortable enough to be this close with him. So that's cool. I got to witness his first time having the chimp be super comfortable with him, the baby chimp. Because usually the baby chimp will like run away and all that kind of stuff. But then I was able to film all these moments where the chimp finally got over that fear and would actually take food from his hand and stuff. So it was really cool. Actually, you know what? Technically, I might even just put this in as well. Because even though it's not vertical, I think most of the shot fits in the frame. So. And we just shifted a little to the left as needed, but. Yeah, even this shot. I shot it in landscape, but almost all of it I could definitely see using it. So. I believe this is also with this is the in-body audio. So this is with the 32-bit flow audio built into the camera. So I don't think I had the shotgun mic on this one based on what I remember of the behind-the-scenes shots. So we can also judge the quality of the audio through some of these clips. Let me just drag some of these guys in though. Man, chimps are so cool. Just on a separate note, I think I'm trying to think, what's my favorite animal to film or photograph? It might be chimpanzees, honestly. Gorillas are so crazy, especially when you're face to face with a silverback gorilla. Holy, you know, it's like you have one of those moments where I'm trying to think, is there any other animal when I'm close face to face do I get the same kind of feeling of awe and like fear and all that kind of stuff? I don't think so. Give me one second. I gotta blow my nose real quick. Low Bass, you said, my favorite is the Carpenter bee. It gets no love, but it makes a great photo. I can't tell if you're memeing right now, but let me look up a Carpenter bee. Yo, okay. If this is the one, that's got some colors to it. Interesting. Oh, it's got a little black dot on the... Okay, okay. I don't do a lot of like bugs, insects, reptiles per se. But like I'm always fascinated by it, especially if you have like a macro lens and stuff. I feel like there's, in the same way that I think people who do underwater photography, there's like a whole world you're discovering, right? Like that no one else has seen, kind of a thing. And in the flip side of it, if you're doing like bugs, insects, and when you have like a macro lens, there's like a whole micro world that you get to explore that most people probably never even consider or think about seeing. So I totally get the allure of this. Interesting. Yo, it's got real colors to it. Nice. You said, I am not memeing. They are flying tanks and super photogenic. Yeah, I can see that. Man. Yeah, this is a beast. Holy shit. Okay, okay. I like this response. I think it's a good favorite to have. Oh, a blue Carpenter bee? Get your shit out of here. Yo. As someone who doesn't like film or photograph a lot of these bugs and stuff, I would totally be down for that. I want to be able to film the monarch butterflies. Is it somewhere in Mexico where they have like that huge, the March of the Monarchs or whatever that film was called or something? That would be really cool as well. But yeah, for me personally, I would say probably as far as like land animals go, I think even more than like having an elephant close, like face to face with you, there's something about the gorilla that just feels very terrifying. And I think it's probably because of how similar they feel to humans, right? So just like knowing how similar they are, like facial features or like everything, right? Relatively speaking. And also when you're doing a gorilla trek and when that silverback is in front of you, it's also knowing that there's nothing in between you and this crazy wild king of the jungle type thing, right? The Kong of the jungle, right? At least when you see elephants and other stuff, usually you're in a jeep. There's a little bit of separation. You're not at eye level, as in like you're not walking the same ground as those animals are. Whereas when you're in the jungle with the gorillas, you're stepping in the same areas that they're stepping in. You're, you know, going. Yeah, it's just a feeling of like more raw nature, and also a fear that, you know, if they feel like it, they could just completely reach over and destroy you in a second. So yeah, filming silverbacks definitely, it's like hard to top, but I almost think chimpanzees kind of go almost on par with them because the chimps are so much more lively in general. They're like super energetic. They're screeching, they're running around, they're going all over the place doing these gymnastics as well. The gorillas do as well, but just not to the same extent because the chimps are much more agile. And they're in larger families or groups. And they also have very human-like features, so I don't know. It's been one of my favorite things is photographing and filming these guys. Okay, let's drag in a couple more. Okay, maybe I should just start with the ones that are actually vertical first. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, forgot to rotate. Flip it and reverse it. 0.57. How, you know, even this, how cool is this shot though? Obviously I didn't film the whole thing, unfortunately, but oh shoot, I lost it. Yeah. So let me turn off the music for a quick second. This is also what's cool about these animals. Obviously they're very intelligent, but yeah, she recognizes her name. So she was seeing that Dr. Rakundo was walking away. So then she tends to follow him, right? So that's why she's looking at her child and telling the baby, like, you know, hey, get down. So we got to catch up to the doctor. So she's looking up at him. And then he calls out Billy. And she looks over. I don't know, you know, it's not like they're the only animals that recognize their name or anything. But it's seeing such a human-like form and everything about this. Yeah, just so cool. I love. Yeah, these animals are just so fascinating. So fascinating. Okay. Okay, for sure this one I also need to include. So yeah, basically I'm just trying to find all the proper footages that can be used in like a vertical format. Although this one I technically already used in our Instagram reel. So yeah, maybe yeah, okay, Okay, I'll keep it in here, but I've already used it. Okay, so here's an example where, is this really overexposed or did I just mess around with this file? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this might be an actual good example. Yeah, okay, so here's an example. This is technically what Maple and the others were saying I should be filming. So when I was here filming this moment, this is fine. So even though it looks very overexposed and it's like super bright, technically I think as long as the waveform was showing that there's nothing clipping in the highlights, I should have been filming like this for all of my shots. So we're looking at the waveform here. So yeah, nothing is clipping so far. Yeah. Okay, so then here's the real test. We have this footage, and this is what I was afraid of shooting, but technically this is this was what I was supposed to do. So then if I had trusted my camera to shoot like this more often, then it should mean when I drop the curves, we should be able to get nice colors of like what I normally would end up doing, which is like, I actually usually prefer when it's a little bit underexposed a bit. Yeah, so without doing any crazy edits, if I'm just dropping the curves, this looks great. This looks good. Like, okay. So I need to learn to trust the waveform more often, is what I'm saying. Thurio, you said your node tree is really big. Probably, what did they say? Overcompensating, right? But yeah, no, I basically have this large node tree. And this is from when I was like, so I picked up DaVinci, at this point it's like a year and a half ago. And so when I started, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos from people of like how to edit in DaVinci, blah, 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 trying to understand this concept of node trees. And so I created this based off of like a bunch of other YouTubers. Like I took, like it's kind of like a Frankenstein approach, but I saw some advice from some people and then I took some from others and then I just created a version, like hopefully the best of everything. There's a few things I probably would add at this point. But yeah, the way I have it structured, and let me know, by the way, if I'm doing anything incorrect, right? Because I believe you said you're on the colorist side of things. So basically I have the first node, which is the color space transform. So then I'll use this to essentially transform the raw codec and the raw color space, whatever color space into DaVinci wide gamut and like the DaVinci color space while we're editing in DaVinci. And then the first few steps that what I understood to be one of the first steps that you should do are things around the color correction side of things, around like like white balance, exposure levels. I have one for curves. I tend to play with the curves more than any other adjustments. So this is my favorite technically of what I do. And then I have one for contrast. And then these all feed into the next step, which is for noise reduction, which on default, I have it turned off because it ends up, the rendering file takes a long time when I have it on. So I only turn it on at the very end if it's necessary. If the shot is very noisy, then we'll activate it. Otherwise, the other steps I have are things around like I have a node specifically for if I do any saturation adjustments, any desaturating, stuff around density or changing the colors with the hues. And then all of that feeds into one final step, which is around sharpening. And I think I just apply a very, very subtle sharpening. Yeah, it just drops it to 0.48. And then, excuse me, then I have the output, or I have the color space out essentially. And so this is converting it back into that Rec 709. And then I have a few placeholders for, if I want to apply a LUT, if I have other creative things I want to do, I just have one slot for that. And then I can always create more. And then the final few steps are things like if I want to do some vignetting or some corner fade or some film grain. Although now with our test with dehancer, I've been using dehancer more often, or I've been using dehancer for like all three of these things essentially, or at least two of them, the vignette and the film grain. So yeah, I'll usually create a node and then put the dehancer on there. And that's been really fun. So I don't know what's considered best practice, but at least when I was starting and I was seeing some examples of other people's nodes, it felt like something like this made sense. And I think the more important thing was just having the right ordering of like what steps should come before others. So yeah, but do tell me if there's something here you're like, oh, that's a glaring mistake, like you should actually be doing this step before this, then we'll learn. So but yeah, anyways, one of the other learnings, like I said, is I'm learning that I should always just trust the waveform or the histogram, because here I was able to drop it down. Everything looks nice. I don't see any bit of noise really. So even shooting at, let's say, I'm assuming I shot this one at 6400 ISO, or at least one of the higher ISOs. But then I was able to drop it down and it looks nice and clean. So we're learning. Looks good. Let's drag this over as well. Amazing. I'm so excited to play with this. It is kind of crazy to think I have like so much footage. I have so many shots that, yeah, I had to basically boil into like a 5-minute video. So the cool thing is, if you tune into these live streams, you are going to be seeing a lot of behind the scenes shots that nobody else will see. And then eventually, I'll be able to post them publicly. But if you're on the live stream, you are getting the first shots of hopefully cool shots. Like this one. Look how cool that is. Let's actually adjust this one. Oh yeah, so this one I did a bit more color grading. So I kind of went with the more like a, I don't know what you call this, but I like this tone of green and like a little bit more dramatic look to it. I don't know if I could replicate this though, because I had to do some custom stuff here that I don't even remember. What the hell did I do? Thuriel, you said not bad. Some change need to be applied to clarify. Not bad is what you're saying. Some changes to clarify. There might be a typo in there, Thuriel, but I get what you're saying. You're saying it's not bad, but there might be a few things I should adjust. Dude, let me know if there's anything that you think would make this better. I welcome it, because obviously I want to make sure I do things the best way possible. Low Base says custom stuff is my favorite stuff. Yes. I thought you were gonna say custom stuff was your former stripper name, but that doesn't work that well. Or it could work. I don't know. Like, what did this one do? Okay, so this one, it looks like I dropped the shadow a bit. I actually don't like that as much. Let's keep it like this. But I think it's because it's so dark, so I might have done that to lift the shadows a bit. Oh yeah, I did a lot of things in the DCTL. I don't know much about DCTLs, but there's one guy I watched his YouTube video and then I purchased his DCTL. But yeah, I don't actually even know what that stands for. But yeah, so I used this guy's DCTL so I can adjust a bit of the colors here and there until I got something that looked more like what I like. So for instance, if I undo all these. Yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah, so this is like slightly more like what it was originally. Okay, this is what it was more originally. So like a lot warmer in the tones. And then I ultimately just made everything a lot like greener, a bit cooler, mintier kind of. But I just kind of wanted the more like cool green tones more than the warm tones. I don't know, like to me, like when I think of these dense jungles, I like the wetter, cooler tones as opposed to like warmer, hot tones or something. Like a shaded look, yeah, I guess. Please, I had class, says Low Base. You said you had class, so I'm assuming it's gone now. Thuriel, no, Kevin, you said Thuriel gonna show you there are levels to this? Yes, yeah. Dude, I get so excited selfishly, obviously, when people who are experts in their field or who have experience join this community, okay? Because obviously I'm here to learn from you guys. If there's one thing that is making me always want to do live streams, it's the fact that we can collect. It's like we're collecting Pokemons, but we're collecting experts. And then, yeah, hopefully you guys chime in at times to let me know what I'm doing wrong or how to improve. Third, you said, for example, your curves node and contrast node aren't logical. If you do an S curve, you create some contrast. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you know what? I never use this contrast node. Yeah, because I normally just use the curves, and I don't really do S curves often. Usually, if I have to do anything, I do the lower S part, and then sometimes I lift the top part of the curve. But yeah, I actually don't ever really use the contrast at all. Like I might as well disable it because it's not really used. I just have it as a placeholder because I didn't know, maybe there are times where I just want to use like the contrast here or there. Although it looks like maybe I do have the contrast on, but I have it slightly down. But I think I just do that so I can remind myself which of these panels are being used. Yeah, because I lifted... See, I did a thing where I lifted the contrast by 1... So the contrast here is 1.002 on the HDR color wheel. So I lifted it by 0.002 here. And then in the primary color wheel, I dropped the contrast here by 0.002 so that hopefully it balances each other out. And the only reason I did that was so then if someone has my power grade and they have this node, they can see that both of these they have the little red dot on both of them. So hopefully it'll tell them like, okay, this node, you should be looking at these two things for contrast stuff. This curve, you should be looking at either this or you should be looking at this because the red dot is there. So I think I did that more just to visualize, but yeah. But I get what you're saying, Thuriel. Like there's no need, or I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying there's no need to have this contrast node if I have a curves node because they do the same thing. So, okay, fair enough. Yeah, maybe I need to refresh this at some point. There's probably a few new things I also need to consider adding. And then, oh yeah, so here's what I normally... so I usually don't lift the shadows. I will usually lift the lift, if that makes sense. So I don't know, Thuriel, tell me, is there a difference? So this might just be from a random YouTube video I watched, where they were saying that like if you increase the lift, it does the same thing as increasing the shadow, but it could be a little bit more refined in terms of only affecting the very dark pixels. So then if I need to lift the shadows, instead of lifting the actual shadows function or the button there, if you just increase the lift, that might be a better fine-tuning of lifting shadows. I don't know how true that is, but I tend to do that now. So I just kind of lift the blacks from the lift section as opposed to the shadows. But who knows what kind of poison pill I've been consuming from these people on YouTube. Okay, but I kind of like this. So let's imagine if I copy this guy over. And let's also color code. Oh yeah, low base. Tell me, what do I have to do to join the Twitch team, you said? Let's see how this looks. So again, this is shot in landscape, but I'm just seeing if a lot of it can fit into the vertical mode. Yeah, I just need to shift it to the left, but I think these would be some really cool shots. This was also one of my favorite shots, this particular moment when we're walking. Let's just shift this over now. And what happens if we apply the stabilization across the entirety of this? Oh yeah, that I probably will want an extra node for stabilization. Also, I need to figure out where to put the stabilization. I don't know if that's a step I do at the very end, because it's not really about colors. But I don't actually know. So I'm just doing it towards the end here. But let's say if I take this node and let's go stabilize. All right. You'll DM me on Discord. Awesome, awesome. And then, you know what I need, low base? I need like, because I think the stream bot, or maybe, yeah, the Ko-Fi is doing it, right? So every once in a while, Ko-Fi will message in the chat being like, hey, visit Yobel's Ko-Fi page, blah, blah, blah. I need to have something like that where some bot will constantly just remind people like, hey, this command, or, you know, type this in the thing to do that or whatever. So go on your primaries log wheels. I don't know what you're talking about. Primaries log wheels. Let me see. Let's just full screen this guy. Log. Where's the log wheels? Oh, interesting. Wait, what does this log wheels do? Are you about to like blow my mind right now? Thuriel, tell me. Because I just discovered that there's these like little buttons here, and I've never really played with it. Oh wow, so it's got shadow, midtone, highlights, offset, as opposed to the lift, gamma, gain, offset. But what is it about it being log? As in, like, is this more of like a raw? Like, is it lifting things from the original raw format? Or I have no idea. Our community bot will do that. Hells yeah. Okay, I need to sign up. Let me check your DM. Kevin, you said Ko-Fi. I thought it's pronounced like coffee. Oh, you know what? You're probably right. Coffee sounds so much better. Or even Kofi. But yeah, coffee. Ah, I think you are right. Because I think there's even a thing where it's like, oh, for the price of a coffee, you know, you can do XYZ. Coffee. Oh yeah, and it's got a little... I'm an idiot. It's got a little coffee... even the stream bot has an avatar of a coffee with a heart inside. Okay, well, there you go. Listen. Thank you very much. I'm learning even more. So again, my brain has expanded. You taught me that nipples are the same color as your lips, and it's pronounced coffee, not Ko-Fi. So there you go. Sophie. I thought Ko-Fi coffee what used to be the UN Secretary General. Jesus, I can't even speak. Well, I can't speak right now, so I can't say much anything. But you can see yourself out. Fintech shit. Oh yeah, SoFi. I had a SoFi. I still have a SoFi account. Sophie? Okay, but Thuriel, I need to hear from you. Thuriel, what is this log wheel? And maybe I should ask ChatGPT as well. But wait, let's say I reset this lift. And then let's go into the log. So now can I adjust from here? I think I'm getting my mind blown. So hopefully Thuriel will confirm it for me. But let's say if I lift it on the shadows here now. Okay, let me see. Let's start from the beginning. Also, let's slow this bad boy down to... It's probably the only one old enough to remember Kofi Annan. Yes, I don't know Coffee Annan? Is that like QAnon? Okay, so low base, you sent me some documentation. Oh man, I gotta read a bunch of stuff. Actually, it's not that much. Wait, actually it is a bit. Okay, so it's something I can't take care of right away is what I'm assuming. He was the Secretary General of the United Nations from 1997 to 2006. Gotcha. Damn, he served for quite a while then. No reason to derail your stream with it now. It'll be there when you have time. Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I appreciate it. I'll take care of it then after. Thuriel, you said primaries. Primaries log, and HDR wheels have the same idea. You modify a part of an image. The difference is how that affects the image. Lift in primaries wheel, move the shadows to the pilots. I don't know what that is. In log wheels, effects in a band of darks, and HDR wheels got more ranges. Okay, okay, no reason to, okay. Pivot to the pivot. You're still speaking a language that I don't fully understand. But tell me, so Thuriel, when I have to lift, when I have a very dark image, are you saying I should use the log wheels as my default whenever I have to lift the shadows instead of using the primaries? Ooh, this is gonna be some fun clips, I think. Okay. Yeah, these will be very fun. All right, all right. This was a successful trip. We're getting some good clips out of it. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's test it out even here. So I'm assuming I should be able to drop this a bit. Okay. Dun, dun. Oh yeah, so this is like an example where he was mentioning this is like the closest the chimp has ever gotten to him, the baby. Oof, that's loud. Thuria said that depends on your habits. For example, I prefer to use the HDR wheel. Okay. Okay, let's take that same shot. Let's try the... So we'll reset this one, 0.08. Where was it? Oh, in the HDR. Hey, look who it is. Look who decided to show up again. It's kind of adorable. Whenever she wants my attention, Nala will like, whether it's on the ground or just now, she'll just come over and like take one paw and just tap me in the back or tap me and just be like, hey, I'm here. So I don't know if it was on camera. Yeah, she's doing it again. Look at that, look at that, look at that cutie. She, let's see, I don't know what she wants. I think she just wants attention. Nala, are you a good girl? You good girl? Yes. All right. You want to come here? Ooh la la. Yeah, basically that's her way of saying pay attention to me. Passive aggressive ass. Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah, because this is what she'll do. If the microphone is me. Sorry, Nala. She'll be like. And then put it away. You got something to say to the mic? Yes, yes, good girl. Okay. Look at her mittens. Yes, she's a beauty. She's got her little she's like a Puss in Boots. If she was a male cat, I would have had to call her Puss. But yeah, If Shrek needed like if Shrek were to ever make a live action version, maybe she can make her Hollywood breakthrough.
Meow. Damn it. No. Give me treats.
Yeah, she's a good one. Look at the displeasure in her face. Yeah, she takes a lot of abuse from me. But you know, it's like tit for tat, you know? Life is about balance. See, in return, now I'm eating some cat hair, so karma. Meow, damn it. Now give me treats. Hells yes. Oh yeah, it is 8 p.m. Okay. I'm wondering if I should start winding down a bit. We are productive, but there's a few like stuff I need to do. Oh wait, shoot. Okay, let's just test this out first. Wait, Thuriel. Sorry, you said use the, let me see what you said. I prefer to use the HDR wheels. Okay, so I'm on the HDR wheels. I never use this, by the way. So if I need to lift the shadows, there's a dark and then there's shadow. What the hell's the difference? Let's try dark first. Let's say if I increase this by... Ooh, I like this. Okay, hold on. That looks pretty good. Let's try lifting the shadows real quick. Okay, so now this one's a little too much from what I want, because it's like lifting everything. I see it's a bit more noticeable, like the changes in the background. Let's try that one again. Yeah, this one's a lot more subtle. Yo. Okay, I think I like this dark on the HDR wheel. You got a little sun on the top left of the wheel. This thing? What the hell? Interesting. Yo, we're like learning some stuff. This is like a colorist class today. Thank you. And colorist not in like a racist way. We're welcoming of all colors here. I was gonna say something else, but since we're dealing with anyways, okay, so you got a little sun on the top left of the wheel. Oh, sorry. I wasn't sharing my screen. You got a little sun on the top left. Yeah, so this thing here, right? That's kind of cool. So what is this showing me? It's showing me everything that is pure black? Or it's just showing me all the darkest? Or, oh, no, I see. This is telling me what is impacted by any changes I do. So then even if I lift this all the way, I see. So it's not going to affect the background. Oh, that's really nice. Okay. Yeah, because okay, so Thuriel, what I was saying, I wasn't sharing my screen. Thank you, Kevin. That shows you what is impacted. Yes, that's perfect. I was going to say, because like when I was lifting the shadow, I was noticing like even the background was changing, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. So I didn't like the shadow, whereas with this dark one, it was only affecting that dark area. And so it's much subtler, but I like it. Yo, we've learned something really good today. So thank you, Kevin. You've taught us a few things about life that I didn't know before, about human anatomy. And Thuriel, you are teaching about being a better colorist. So we're going to apply this going forward. So thank you. This is actually super, super helpful. Can we apply it to this one? I'm not sure. Let's see. What are you doing, Nala? So that's the missing thumb, right? So, or the amputated one. It's not missing. I taught you about human anatomy. What you talking about? Wait, Kevin, weren't you the one who taught us that nice fun fact about the colors of nipples and lips? It is also kind of crazy to see, like, again, these chimps are super dangerous, right? Like in the sense that they could, you know, you got to be careful. They're powerful, aggressive, and all that kind of stuff. And they got fangs for teeth, you know. So it is really cool. I was really happy. I felt fortunate that I got to film so many of these kind of moments, where to see like the way she was so gentle, both of them, but like how gentle they are with him, and like he trusts them enough that he could literally put tiny whatever nuts or whatever he was giving them in the palm of his hand and not worry about them like accidentally biting him or anything. That was insane to me. Okay, anyways. You won't find that published in any medical journals, so ChatGPT won't be able to verify it since it's not in the training data. Okay. Are you telling me you've just been spewing some bullshit my way? But next time you're looking at your nipples, just grab an eyedrop picker and find that nipple hex code. You know what? Can you imagine? I feel like this is something Jared, what is his channel called? Jared, Chrono's Photo, right? I feel like that's something he would do. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys watch his YouTube videos. I know he's like pretty big, right? So he does the whole thing where he does like that wind tunnel test for all the new cameras and lenses. Jared post something? Yeah, Jared Poland, I think. But I forget what the channel name is called. Is it like Chronos Photos, or is that just his logo? Or whatever. Anyways, point is, the dude with the big afro and very funny, and he does all the camera reviews. But I feel like he always does this like as a joke. He does the wind tunnel test with the camera or the lens. And I feel like I could see him doing something like what you're saying, where it's like, oh, we're going to test the color quality of each camera. And then he takes his shirt off, and then, you know, based on what the colors show up in the camera versus like what he knows is the actual whatever hex code of his nipple, and he'd be like, oh, I can see this one was the closest on the nipple score or whatever. I totally see him doing that, but I don't think I'll do that anytime soon. Okay, let's keep looking for the vertical shots first.
It's a nice shot, but you have people in the background.
Yeah, guys.
It's so funny. I'm like so spoiled for choice right now, which obviously I'm very happy about. But like even a shot like this, normally, like in the wild or if I was on a travel or something, this I'd be like, yo, this is the money shot. This is the hero shot. Like, holy shit, we got that chimp like super close up. But obviously we had a plethora of shots on this trip, so it's kind of funny that I'm looking at this. I like it, but it's like, I'm like, yo, we got some cooler shots. But I think this one could be nice. Like, just the moments when it's in focus. All right, even this like chimp here, right? Just like the baby chimp chilling on his own. Yeah, this would be like even for like a photo, I'd be really happy with some kind of framing like this, where we got that nice like foreground, the leaves and everything. I actually don't mind when it obscures a bit, because at the very least it's got some nice texture to it. It's a little bit soft still, so it doesn't take too much from the subject. And then you get this interesting like termite. I think it's a fake termite hill. I could be wrong. I think they build it so they can put like treats and stuff inside. But yeah, you get this nice kind of whatever in the background, the greens again. And she's striking like a nice pose. Eyes are sharp. Okay, these are not bad. These are not bad. Jared Polin, I think is the name. You said that's a compliment. Thank you. Yeah, listen, I could totally see if you were a part of Jared's team that if you pitched that to him, like I feel like he actually would do it. You know, because it's very much in his wheelhouse of like his comedic style, and it's like doing it as a joke, but there's actually an element of truth to it in the sense of like, well, actually it is telling us something. He's using his nipple color as like the baseline, right? And then let's see how accurate how accurate are all the upcoming lenses and cameras in terms of the actual colors to the self, you know, identified hex code RGB whatever of his nipples. So yeah, I totally could see him doing that. You should pitch it to him. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, guys. I feel like right now it's almost 8:30. I have a bunch of random work stuff to do. I feel like we're in a good spot to end it. Maybe what I'll do is let me try to find at least one more. Let me just get one more vertical shot here that we want to bring over as we start working on some Instagram Reels. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should look at the other day. Oh, wait, no, was it from this day? Yeah, okay, 1 second. Let's go to the previous day. Because we had some really cool shots from the shore. I mean, these are also kind of crazy. Because this is during one of the feedings. Like, look how psycho this chimp looks, man. Like, I would not be comfortable in this guy's vicinity. Like, I would just be like, yo, keep him in the mental asylum, yo. As far away from me as possible. So let's see. If I go to the power grades. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. And then we're going to apply the thing that Thuriel taught us. So I'm going to go to my... it doesn't really matter. Let's go to the exposures. And we're going to go to HDR. And we're going to lift the darks. That's damn good. That's damn good. Okay. Look at this psycho. Okay, but okay, I'm getting distracted right now. Yo, Daytor, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome from Germany. Is that right? I think I was mentioning that we met someone from Germany. We had some people from France. Thuriel, welcome, welcome. And then we had some people from Italy. Cherish Aviva is an arts and crafts streamer on the team who is currently live if you'd like to raid somebody. Oh, she's raising money for her cancer treatments. Okay, yeah. Okay, you know what? We're going to take that as a good sign to, let's, okay, we ended off with the psychopath over here. I think it's going to be hard to top this shot, okay? So, Daytor, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. I do apologize, Daytor, because I'm just about to close down on the stream. But as Lobe said, no, don't worry. You're not rushing me off. I just thought you said you were getting ready to end. You're exactly right. I'm getting ready to end. I was just finding excuses not to, really. But I do need to call it an end. So here's what we're going to do. I apologize, Daytor, because we are now passing you off. But I trust Lobe's opinions on people who I should, raid. And so you mentioned, what was her name? Cherish Aviva. Cherish Aviva. God, I'm so rusty. How do I do this? Let's go to search Cherish_Aviva. Perfect. Okay, how do I subscribe to her as well? I'll do it. Okay, let me start the raid first. And then I will follow her afterwards. But yeah, thank you, Lobase. Thank you. I appreciate you reminding me. Oh, yo, thank you very much, Thuriel. Thank you for the follow. Yo, hells yeah, we're building up that Twitch following day by day. We're gonna keep growing this. You got to go. See you next time. Thank you very much, Thrio. Thank you very much for the advice as well. We're going to apply this going forward. So I already feel that much better at being a colorist. So thank you for being here as well. And I'll see you on the next stream for sure. I'll be here every day. So I'll see you on that one. Okay, so we're closing things off now, I believe, if I did everything correct. We've got 1 minute left. Is there any final remarks I need to say? I don't think so. Besides, Low Base, you mentioned Cherish Aviva. She's arts and crafts, and she's raising money for her cancer treatment. So, you know, it's obviously sad to hear that she's going through that, but hopefully she's a positive spirit about it, and it'll be good to follow her. So we're going to give her a raid any minute now, any second now, really. So let me go ahead and click this button. Thank you guys for being here. Check out Cherish_Aviva. We're going to raid right now. And I will be back tomorrow, probably same time, you know. And then, yeah, I have a few projects I need to take care of shortly after. But yes, thank you guys. I will see you guys in the raid and then tomorrow. And let me hit stop stream.